boot against the Arkansas Razorbacks on SEC Network. Great to be with you here today with the College Football Hall of Famer Matt Stinchcomb. I'm Taylor Zarzer. Tara Talmadge is on the field in Fayetteville. We'll get to her in just a second. The last time LSU played football, Stinch was dressed up eating whatchamacallits on Halloween. It has been a long time. What are we going to get from LSU today?
That's the question, right? Are they just going to be dressed up like the LSU team from a month ago? Or is there going to be a different version, especially offensively, for the LSU Tigers? It was not a very good outing versus what's proven to be a decent defensive unit in the Auburn Tigers. Only 11 points mustered on the field of play. What will they emphasize offensively going forward, knowing that you have a true freshman now only in his third start in TJ Finley, quarterbacks that have rotated in? Max Johnson had to come in relief of Finley that last game. Where will the Tigers emphasize their offense in the ground game, and how do you protect your quarterback to ensure success?
My guess is run the football and stop the run. Must be better at the line of scrimmage, Stinch.
When you look at the way they took their time talking with Orgeron, they said we want to be more physical along the offensive line. We want to run the football with authority. We want to take pressure off of that passing game. An element of their offense that looked really good, especially under Miles Brennan and in TJ Finley's first start. But why not try to get that ground game going a little bit more, support your defense in so doing, and also it helps your defensive front as well. They practically had a summer camp worth of time off to refine what they're doing on both sides of the football.
The last time they played Arkansas, they were favored by more than 40 last November. Early this week, Arkansas was a slight favorite in this game. How about the turnaround with first-year coach Sam Pittman?
Beyond just the statistics, and you can point easily to the turnover margin as that being a catalyst for this change, but more than anything else, these players believe that they can win. He's infused this program with confidence, and you can see it in the way that they play.
Sam Pittman's back on the field after missing last week's game in Gainesville. For more on him, we send it to Tara Talmadge on the field.
Well, guys, I spoke with Sam Pittman earlier this week, and he mentioned how excited he is to be back out on the field with his guys. Last week he was at home watching the game with his dog Lucy at his full house. So this is a nice change of pace. He loves everything about this, from the atmosphere of the game to meeting the opposing team's head coach at center field, and, of course, being in battle with his guys.
Being back here is huge for him today after missing that game last week. Nothing like being on the field for a college football game. You see Avery Atkins getting ready to kick off, and that's Nathan Perotti. It's back deep for the Razorbacks. Crazy not to see Davion Warren back there, one of the best specialists in the country that tore his ACL in Gainesville last week. Wishing him well and a speedy recovery as we're underway in the battle for the Golden Boot, and the Razorbacks get it first in this 66th meeting dating back to 1901. And that means Felipe Franks is coming onto the field for Arkansas first, the transfer from Florida, who was really good last week. Despite the loss in Gainesville, back in a place he knows so well, he valued the football, Stinch, and did a terrific job.
Yeah, he's been a stabilizing force for the entire program, but especially the offense. And you look at the completion percentage, north of 70%, the touchdowns to interceptions the last 6 games. He's done an excellent job of providing this offense big play potential.
And he quickly throws a swing pass to Treylon Burks, and Burks is out of bounds and will get a couple of yards. It should be a run for Burks for a couple of yards. We'll see Burks all over the field today. He was back there on that play with Traylon Smith in the backfield. No Rakeem Boyd, one of many Arkansas Razorbacks out of the game due to COVID issues. This is Smith, and Traylon slips and falls forward near the 29 to be 3rd and 6 for Arkansas.
Yeah, we can expect to see number 16 for Arkansas all over the formation. The lineup at wide receiver as he is now, but he'll also be in the backfield. They'll blow him through the backfield as they did on 2nd down.
And a quick 3 and out as that ball's deflected by Ali Gay, and LSU does their job on defense.
Ali Gay is a guy that all season long, defensively, along their front, has done a good job of gaining penetration. Watch him read the quarterback, get extension and elevation right away, and at 6'6", he doesn't have to jump that high. but he dunked on that would-be pass attempt from Felipe Franks. A strong start for the LSU defense.
Kind of shocking to see LSU 111th in the country in total defense so far this season. That was more like it. Reed Bauer punts it deep to Derek Stingley, who calls for a fair catch. That's a 46-yard punt. True freshman quarterbacks for the Tigers today. Should see Max Johnson play. TJ Finley once again, Stinch, gets the start.
And you can see a tale of two football games really for TJ Finley. He was lights out versus South Carolina, but then only completed 13 passes. The last time they played versus Auburn, a couple of picks, took a couple of sacks, ultimately gave way to Max Johnson in that football game.
Finley has plenty of time, and he'll just run ahead for a few to the 28-yard line for a couple. LSU offense has gone through so much transition, as the entire team has. You see where they're ranked in the conference. Muskett, Ty Davis-Price, and John Emery going in the backfield. Emery stands next to Finley on this 2nd and 7. And it's John straight ahead past the 30, near the 31-yard line. He's more of a outside runner, Coach O says, and Davis-Price is the bruiser, but he wants each of those guys to get about the same amount of carries today.
Yeah, seeking to get more touches in the ground game. We showed earlier 13th in the conference in rushing, and they want to find ways to take pressure off of Finley. 3rd and 4 gives them that opportunity where it's not a long down and distance to convert in the passing game.
Arkansas with a bunch of fresh faces on the defensive line due to COVID issues. On this 3rd and 4, it's right near the sticks, and Emery will be spotted for a first down.
In talking with Ed Ogeron, Taylor, it's interesting. He mentioned not only the ground game, but also getting the running backs more involved out of the backfield as receivers. John Emery coming into this game, 8 receptions and a big one here early to get a conversion and extend this possession versus a shorthanded Arkansas defense. A lot of new faces for the Razorbacks will be playing along their defensive front.
In the middle of that front, Jonathan Marshall is still out there, and he helps plug the gap there for a couple of yards. So Marshall, 42, is out there, but the rest of the guys out there on Arkansas's defensive line haven't been starters this year. Dorian Gerald, Zach Williams, Isaiah Nichols, Xavier Kelly, Julius Coates, and Eric Gregory are all out today due to COVID issues. This is 2nd and 8. Is next to Marshall. You see Torian Carter to the left and Mateo Soli to the right, and Marshall gets in the backfield. It's 3rd down.
When you watch this Arkansas defense, the two guys that stand out the most, number 42, right in the middle, watch him beat. Well, they're trying to get a backside reach. In the center, Liam Shanahan's got to get a bigger piece of number 42. He does such a great job of getting upfield. And now a 3rd and obvious passing scenario for the LSU offense.
That's the 6th straight game Marshall has had a tackle for loss. He's been sensational. Finley holding on to the football, and it's incomplete. He wanted Racy McMath. 4th down.
I'll tell you what's concerning for LSU offensively early in this game is an inability to give TJ Finley a clean pocket versus 4 rushers or fewer. Only 3 rushers multiple times on this opening possession where the pocket collapsed inside out on TJ Finley, who is not a very mobile quarterback.
Here comes old man Zach Von Rosenberg, 30 years young. First to whistle.
Before the snap, false start, number 10, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Mark Curlis, today's referee. Jeray Jenkins moving too early, so push LSU back 5 more yards as Von Rosenberg has had an outstanding year, 2nd best in the SEC in punting average.
Please reset the game clock to 11:21. 11:21 on the game clock, please.
Again, with Warren out of the lineup due to the ACL injury last week, Traylon Burks is back for this punt
Please
for
reset
Arkansas.
the game. Thank you.
Arkansas trying to end a 4-game losing streak in this rivalry game. And it's punted out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Razorbacks back on the field, no score. Presented by Allstate. No score here, 11-12 to go first quarter. Coach O's LSU Tigers have had a world of trouble on the defensive side of the football. Historically bad numbers through their first 5 games.
Yeah, and what's been staggering really is the pass defense. It started out poorly and even got worse, believe it or not, the opener versus Mississippi State. Right now, though, they average allowing 10 yards per pass attempt. That is a staggering number.
They did have a 3-and-out, though, the first time, forcing one. This time, on first down, that's been the problem right there. Mike Woods moves the chains for 11 yards.
Mike Woods coming off a career game last week versus Florida, caught that 82-yard bomb. Big play, explosive play capability in the passing game with number 8.
This is Smith, who also had a big run in that game. Traylon had an 83-yard touchdown run. He gets maybe one there. Again, no Rakeem Boyd today. Dominique Johnson, a backup tailback, is unavailable. Amonte Spivey left the program a few weeks ago. Jones is really their only option from a true running back standpoint, I guess, unless Franks decides to call his own number.
How about a little option look? So you can obviously tell Kendall Briles as the play caller here early on. You know, you get a pass to Traylon Burks out of the backfield, trying to get other touches, show this defense multiple ball carriers and some versatility in the ground game with a limited running back room available.
On 3rd and 7, the slant, incomplete to Burks, and right there with him in coverage is Cordale Flott.
Back-to-back nice plays by Cordale Flott, one in the run game and then defending the slant versus a big-bodied receiver in Traylon Burks, 6'3", 225, and Flott plays right between his hands. That was an accurate pass and on time from Franks. Just well defended by Cordale Flott.
Arkansas going very quickly. Both drives just about a minute long. It's another Bauer punt. It's a short one, but takes a Razorback bounce and will be downed inside the 20-yard line. Tigers trying to get things going on offense in Fayetteville.
Football is presented by Allstate. You've never been in better hands.
That in person, the Wild Band of Razorbacks fountain dedicated to the undefeated 1964 National Championship team a couple of years ago. No surprise, Jerry Jones covering most of the cost. He was on that team back in 1964. Sure, he's watching today. He's going to need to be worried about a couple of great players on LSU's offense. That's a true freshman tight end in Eric Gilbert right there.
You know, if we didn't confirm that he was a true freshman, I'd argue with it. I mean, it really is hard to believe with the way number 2 has played, among other really impressive performances by true freshmen on this LSU roster, but number 2 stands out. He was game ready game 1, and he's only gotten better as this season has progressed, and you can see 22 receptions, but it's his blocking that has even improved more so over the course of the year.
Finley wants to load up, and down the field he finds Jure Jenkins for a first down. Jenkins and others need to get into the action because it's been Gilbert or Terrace Marshall that Finley's been focused on so far this season. Number 6 is one of the best receivers in the country. Had a team meeting this week that he led and told the guys, hey, I could opt out. I could go to get ready for the league. Almost certainly will be a first-round draft pick. I'm staying here. We're finishing this season.
How about that? On the heels of the year that they had a year ago, and knowing that he was setting records, he wants to set the tone for his teammates.
Finley throws it at Marshall's feet. A play after Ty Davis-Price got 6. It'll be 3rd and 4.
But right now with LSU, they're able to get it. This is the second 3rd and 4 that they face this game. This is more comfortable when you're dealing with a true freshman. You still have options. Last time they checked it down to the back out of the backfield and they were able to get a conversion. You don't have to stretch it as far downfield. The protection doesn't have to hold up. Similar pressure look. See if the linebackers bail.
Pressure complete. Good job staying in there and getting it out to Terrace Marshall for the first down.
Last time Arkansas showed 5 guys up at the line of scrimmage, but the linebackers bailed. This time they kind of bluffed like they were dropping in Kane. Grant Morgan gets a shot on TJ Finley as he unloads this 3rd down pass, but they like their matchup. You have to like that matchup. One of the best wide receivers in Terrace Marshall in the slot, matched up against a safety in Joe Fouché, and another conversion on a 3rd and manageable.
20-yard completion. First time that either team has been in the opposition's territory. At the Arkansas 37, Finley throws the fade. It's incomplete, 2nd down.
We talk about Terrace Marshall in this game, the leadership that he has brought to this football team. No Jamar Chase. Probably the best college football player that would have returned in 2020. He opted out. So Terrace Marshall had to emerge, and boy did he. 9 touchdown receptions in only 5 games so far this season. He has really paced this offense.
And Auburn game was the first one. He didn't have a touchdown catch all year. Handoff going to Davis-Price. And Ty right at that Arkansas defensive front down to the 31-yard line. With some fresh faces, that defensive line has looked pretty good so far in the first quarter. But with all sorts of depth problems, you would think LSU would like to wear down that Arkansas defense today.
There's no doubt. Every time they convert a 3rd down, it's not just getting another bite at the apple, yet another 3rd and 4, but it's another rep, an extended series for this shorthanded defense.
6 runs, 6 passes so far for Steve Ensminger's offense. Finley, incomplete, one-on-one ball that Jenkins got a hand on but couldn't catch. It's 4th down. It's Hudson Clark down there with him.
Yeah, a guy that has really emerged in the secondary. And Hudson Clark, former walk-on, didn't get his head around, didn't need to, didn't interfere, but he played the receiver's eyes right there. And you could see his hands splitting the hands of the receiver to deny that reception downfield.
This is a 49-yard field goal attempt for Cade York, the sophomore from McKinney, Texas. He had 5 makes over 40 yards, including 3 over 50. Well within his range and straight down the gut. LSU on the board first in the battle for the Golden Boot in Fayetteville.
State Farm, surprisingly great performance. How about Vanderbilt? Ken Seals getting it done, a perfect 4 for 4 on this drive, make it 5 for 5. He finds Chris Pierce for the early touchdown, but yeah, Florida can score some points as well too, gentlemen. Kyle Trask finds Kadarius Toney, and one was wide open. 7-7 back to Stinch and Czar.
Missing a defender there, it looked like, in Nashville. You know, Burns, I could just hear the disgust when how straight of a field goal Cade York just made. He's never hit a T-ball like that before. York has 200 career points after that one. Avery Atkins, kickoff man, does his job, and the Razorbacks will start at 25-yard line. Now, Felipe Franks has 102 straight passes without a pick, but he needs to be more accurate with the football than he is so far today. 2 of 4, 13 yards, and that offense needs to stay on the field.
Yeah, you know, and one of those I would probably consider just a well-defended ball. The other, a batted ball right at the line of scrimmage. One of them shouldn't even be a pass attempt. Frankly, it was a backwards pass to Traylon Burks. Regardless, They're going to need to get the ground game going. The 2 attempts by Traylon Smith have not resulted in much, as you see him motion out, and Burks now in the backfield.
Yeah, I thought we might see some of this today. Here is Burks on the ground. Why not get the ball in your best athlete's hands? You'll get a few. Todd Harris running right with him, second down.
Burks looked a little bit tentative at the end of that run, protecting his lower body. He's going to have a big game offensively in every facet.
Now Smith, and almost no place to go. It's going to be another third down after the open field tackle by Jacoby Stevens.
And Jacoby Stevens, a leader on this defense. Leading tackler, coming downhill and making that play.
Perfect pass to Smith, but he can't make the catch. And the Razorbacks had 3 plays the first drive, 4 on the second, and 37 seconds in 3 plays here.
It's just too quick. And you have to start considering, I know it's early in this game, but you've got a defense that's basically got brand new faces along their defensive line, and you just haven't done a very good job of possessing the football, much less gaining field position.
Third Reed Bauer punt, 8 minutes into the game. And Derek Stingley will call for the fair catch at the 25-yard line. A report published by USA Today this week alleges that LSU officials had knowledge of sexual assault allegations made against at least 9 former LSU football players dating back to 2016. The report claims LSU either ignored those complaints or denied the victim's request for protection. LSU coach Ed Ogeron said on Monday he has taken appropriate action concerning sexual misconduct accusations in the past and will continue to do so. LSU interim president Tom Galligan also released a statement saying, quote, LSU takes every report of sexual assault or violence seriously. We investigate them thoroughly, support victims sensitively, and hold offenders accountable. LSU finally getting to play some football in the month of November. They go to the ground, and Chris Curry, how in the world did he get out of the first field of tackles? He ultimately still loses a yard.
A lot of penetration so far by the Arkansas defensive line, and as you mentioned, impressive by Curry just to try to get back close to the line of scrimmage. Still a tackle for loss for the Razorback defense. Their second now in this game. They're doing a good job along their front. An area of emphasis during LSU's time off to play better and avoid these negative yardage plays.
Finley underneath, and it's Marshall that will get a few. It's third down. LSU has had some offensive line issues. Their whole team has been decimated due to attrition. And then there's Dari Rosenthal, who was suspended for indefinitely, reinstated today, one of the best left tackles in college football, out there on the 3rd and 6.
Last time Arkansas brought pressure, LSU was able to convert that third down. This time they bail.
Into heavy traffic. It's caught by Marshall, and it's short.
Jalen Catalon right there. Makes the play, allows the reception, but get the tackle. And you see 4th and 1, and LSU going to punt this football away. But so far defensively, they have dominated the Razorbacks. And as you mentioned, Taylor, heavy traffic. Thread that needle, but they came just shy. And Von Rosenberg, the shipping magnet, out there to punt the football away.
This is the right call, right?
Oh, when you look at this, where we are, especially the way your defense is playing in the field position.
It's a cannon that takes Burks inside his 10-yard line. Von Rosenberg does his job, pinning Arkansas back. Coming up next at 4 Eastern, number 1 Alabama hosts Kentucky in Tuscaloosa, and at 7:30 Eastern, it's Mississippi State and 13th ranked Georgia in our SEC Saturday night matchup. The SEC Network alternate channel has Mizzou and South Carolina, the battle for Columbia. To find the SEC Network alternate channel in your area, go to secnetwork.com, and all games are also streaming live on the ESPN app. Von Rosenberg, 50 yards the first time, 58 yards that time. Razorbacks start from their own 8. 3 very quick drives on offense. See if Kendall Briles tries to establish the ground game. Instead goes back to the air, and he goes to his tight end, Blake Kern, who's had a big season. That's his 16th catch.
Heavy play action. You fake the toss, you even pull your right guard, get those linebackers to bait up, and you see Franks hesitated just for a second before he feathered that in there.
And they go quickly and find Traylon Burks on the slant, just short of another first down. Kern and Burks have been 2 favorite targets for Franks. And now it's Traylon Smith to the ground. First down, Arkansas. Kendall Briles says, we must start fast and be successful in the first quarter if we're going to beat LSU. It's fascinating to see how important first downs are for this Razorbacks team.
It's a gateway for them so that they can jump into the tempo offense. Otherwise, they're just trying to get conversions more ploddingly.
Franks wide open. It's Burks. Somehow got lost in that LSU secondary. Touchdown. That's a 65-yard reception, and Burks goes over 1,000 yards receiving in a year and a half.
He did it in style on that one. Not just a downfield throw, but yards after catch, showing not only his speed and athleticism, but how physical a runner he is after the catch.
H.A. Reed's extra point is good. 4 plays, 92 yards in a minute and 5 seconds. Fastest any Razorback has gotten to over 1,000 receiving yards. Boo Williams doing it back in the late 90s. What happened here, Stinch?
You see switch routes. He's working with Mike Woods on the same side of the formation, and they get picked. Perfectly legal route combination. They did not exchange it well in the secondary. And then you got 2 broken tackles. Cordell Flott and Todd Harris incapable of bringing down Traylon Burks. Unsurprising. We talked about how imposing he is as a football player. Big, strong, fast, and explosive. This Arkansas offense building on that big playability that we saw a week ago versus the Florida Gators.
Sam Pittman's made it clear. Burks is the best player on the team. Get him the football any way you can. And you saw the embrace with Coach Pittman and Burks after that touchdown.
Well, you consider so far he's been targeted 4 times. He's got a carry in this football game. They're going to be feeding Traylon Burks, and not to mention the role that he'll potentially play in the return game.
Vito Calvaruso kicks it past Eli Ricks, and LSU's back on offense at the 25-yard line. Sam came over to him twice and pumped up that sophomore. It's interesting, Coach Pittman says, you know, Traylon Burks is not that big of a football fan. Doesn't really watch Sundays in the NFL. He's big into hunting and fishing and gets away from the game when he's not practicing or playing. But boy, does he have a love for competing.
Yeah, he doesn't have to watch it. He's too busy dominating it when he's playing.
Back to TJ Finley in the Tigers offense. And it's Davis Price trying the left side of that Arkansas inexperienced defensive line for 5 yards. Again, Jonathan Marshall is out there for Arkansas, but all the other defensive linemen are reserves, as they have 6 defensive linemen that are out today due to COVID issues.
That makes for a long day at linebacker. Thankfully, if you're a Razorback fan, you've got the top 2 tacklers in the SEC manning the linebacker position.
Right at Marshall this time. Let's go down the field and Tara.
Yeah, guys, going into this game, everyone knew that Traylon Burks was going to be a threat for the Razorbacks, but Terrace Marshall, the junior receiver for LSU, isn't going to let that rattle his team. He was going around the sideline telling everyone there's still a lot of game left. Let's respond. We'll see if they can do that right here.
He's at the bottom of the screen here, Tara. On a 3rd and 2, they go to the ground again, and Ty Davis-Price spins and spins and gets the first down.
So now 3 for 4 converting 3rd downs and short to go. 1st and 2nd down, pivotal for LSU. They talked about this repeatedly, how they want to make sure that TJ Finley isn't forced into obvious passing downs. Throw the football when you want to, not when you have to. And you can see, checking with the sidelines, a true freshman, the adjustments are being made and given to him.
Ty Davis-Price, first down run, biggest run so far for LSU into Arkansas territory.
So you check to the sideline, you check to a run, and Davis-Price does a great job of bending this run back. Bumper Poole from his linebacker position had penetration, turned Davis-Price to the backside of that run, and he bounces outside and makes a big gainer.
22-yard run, 4th straight carry, make it 5 straight carries for Davis-Price as he gets a handful more. Steve Ensminger, the offensive coordinator for LSU, said that we must get the ground game going, but he wants to see some poise from TJ Finley, the true freshman quarterback. Of course, Ensminger also started as a true freshman back in 1976. He said we played like a bunch of rookies against the Auburn Tigers. That's why we got destroyed in our last game. 2nd and 4. Price out, Emery in, and Jalen Catalon blows it up.
We talk about young football players. Jalen Catalon's one of the best young players in the conference. This is 4th tackle in this game so far. This one for a loss. And you talk to Barry Odom, defensive coordinator, as you see the numbers that he's put up, 40 solos. He's not just jumping on the pile to pad his stats. He's the first guy there a lot.
Also has had interceptions in 3 of the last 4 games. I mean, he does everything as a redshirt freshman from Mansfield, Texas. 3rd and 9, and Finley will run, and he's inside the 35 where Mr. Catalon is again.
You can see there Finley just not a mobile quarterback. Nowhere to go with the football. So Arkansas plays coverage. They only rush 3. The defensive line is gassed, though, for the Razorbacks. You could see Jonathan Marshall, he was sucking wind, could not rush the passer.
Coach O's got some time to figure out what he wants to do on this 4th down play. Razorbacks up after 1. Arkansas in the background. If you want to get down, you got to get down to Arkansas. Razorbacks up 7-3 on the Tigers, and LSU's going for it from the Hogs 35 to start the 2nd quarter.
From a play call standpoint, they could have run it, but the quarter bailed out that Arkansas defensive front. Let them catch their legs, get their wind back. See what they call here.
Wants to throw it, 2nd option, and they say caught by Gilbert, but the Razorbacks defenders don't agree. It would be enough for a 1st down.
It was Greg Brooks that came up and made the play. He was insistent that the catch wasn't made. Now they're going to take another look at it.
He initially made the catch, but as he was going to the ground, let's take a good look at this football.
Arkansas has called timeout to challenge the ruling on the field of a catch and a spot for a 1st down. The play is on the further review.
I think he had it the whole way. And that ball didn't It looks like he started out with two hands, and he ends up with the ball just in one of his hands, his left hand, as he's going to the ground. Would be his 23rd reception of the year. Only the first target, though, in this game. The second most targeted receiver. And you can see the ball was bobbling a little bit, but I think he's got firm control. He's got it pinned against his side, sure, but he's got a firm control of that ball. It bobbled initially. And so you could see why Greg Brooks thought, no, he didn't get it. But he definitely had firm control as he went to the ground. I don't see anything that would overturn what the ruling on the field being a complete pass and a converted first down on fourth.
I think the other thing they might look, and Mark Curlis might look at here, is was Gilbert's knee on the ground when he initially made the catch, and where was his knee down on the field? Because they're spotting him at the 31-yard line. He had to get past the 32 for a first down. Doesn't look like that changes much in terms of yardage.
Nah, but it's a good point. You're right. His knee's initially down. I don't think he possessed it initially. But you're right. As he goes to the ground, the ball's in his left hand. I don't know that it advanced or retreated much, if at all, during that sequence.
We're done with the prediction
That's
game,
right?
We're not going to make any predictions anymore.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
Just after
Arkansas was charged with a timeout, and that was their challenge.
From now on, Stinch, we're just going to say, yep, that's what we would have said.
That's right. That's right. Just filibuster on something else. I'll tell you what, number 2 for LSU, a true freshman. And we talked about his blocking earlier. Now he just demonstrated his receiving ability. And who'd they try to get the ball to on 4th and 3? They went to their true freshman tight end who was split out.
250 pounds. He is just next to Deculus there on the left side of the line on this 1st and 10 outside the Arkansas 30.
Here he is right here. True freshman.
Back to the ground. Davis Price, maybe a yard, with Marcus Miller following him to make the tackle. A redshirt freshman pressed into duty today.
The 10th play on this drive. You think about, for LSU, grinding away at this Arkansas defense. You convert the 4th down. The quarter gave them a little bit of a chance to recover, but 7 runs on this drive of their 10 plays.
Milking that clock, too. They've had it for over 12 minutes in this football game here in the first half. Now Finley wants to go to the end zone, wide open. It's Racey McMath for the touchdown.
Offensive coordinator Steve Ensminger told us, I think Racey McMath could have a big game. 3rd most targeted receiver behind Terrace Marshall and Eric Gilbert. And you can see Hudson Clark beaten by 6 or 7 yards. Don't see that often out of Clark since he's gained that starting position at cornerback in McMath. Able to get his first touchdown reception of the year.
And Cade York's extra point is good. Yep, senior first touchdown, like you said. He had 3 last year. The man from the Big Easy gives the LSU Tigers the lead on the 30-yard touchdown catch here on SEC Network in Fayetteville. What a drive by the LSU Tigers. 10 plays, 75 yards, converted a 4th down, and then a 30-yard touchdown pass to Racey McMath.
Just grinding away on the ground. Ran the football, get that conversion to your true freshman on a 4th and 3, then take a shot to a senior and let him get on the board with his first touchdown catch in his career.
As for Arkansas, last time in their 4th possession, they finally got it going.
Able to get it going, no doubt. Opened up with a first down throw to your tight end. Jam one in there in tempo to Traylon Burks. And then come right back to him on a switch route. Confusion in the coverage for the secondary. We've seen that before. And interestingly, on first down in this game for Arkansas, they have been 5 for 5 passing for 100 yards, obviously skewed by that 65-yarder to Burks.
Going to the ground this time, and Smith moving laterally will get a yard. On all other downs, Franks is 0 for 3 for 0 yards.
It's been interesting too, right? Because we keep in mind he's got the one, which probably could have been caught, well defended, one batted ball. It's not that he's necessarily been accurate, but they definitely need to get this ground game more productive.
Keeps it himself, faking it into the belly of Smith, making it third and manageable. B.J. Ojulari with the tackle.
It looked like he was a little bit late triggering downfield on that run after he pulled the ball from the belly of Traylon Smith.
3rd and 5. Smith trying to convert, no chance, nowhere to go. It's another 3 and out. That is the 3rd today. Ali Gay with another tackle.
You know, it's interesting. We talked with LSU. They talked about how conservative Arkansas is on 3rd down, but on 3rd and 5, you hand the football off. You hadn't had a ton of success. I get protecting your quarterback, but at 3rd and 5, you'd like to think that you can throw the football right there with a better chance of getting a conversion. I don't think that they were just trying to make it a 4th and manageable right there.
Already the 4th punt for Reed Bauer. He's done his part. And Stingley will return this one from the 26. There are flags down.
And as we watch the flag, Taylor, only just over 5 minutes time of possession for this Arkansas offense. And almost, you get the big play, and yeah, you scored, but you didn't keep the ball.
Return, holding number 10, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down, LSU. Timeout.
As opposed to 12 minutes of possession for LSU, and they have the football again. Games by now. Instead, they've only played 5 in this crazy year of transition and adversity, including what's happened at the quarterback spot. On October the 10th, they were supposed to play in Tiger Stadium. There was a hurricane. They went to Como and lost to Mizzou 45-41, and Miles Brennan got hurt in the game. October 17th, they couldn't play Florida due to COVID issues in Gainesville. That's rescheduled for December 12th. And then last weekend, due to LSU issues, they couldn't play the Crimson Tide. New date to be determined. Now, they're also supposed to play Ole Miss on December 5th. Alabama more than likely will be in the SEC championship game on December 19th. So they're going to have to move some games around to get all of them in this wacky year. Finley to the sideline, nice throw, and it's a first down catch made by Keyshawn Boutte for 11 yards. What do you make of everything LSU's gone through?
Well, it's been a disrupted season, to say the least, and then you couple that with so many new faces, not only on the field, but in the meeting rooms, new coaching staff. To say that they've had to muscle their way through adversity is an understatement. This would have been a difficult year under any circumstances, much less with COVID interruptions.
Emory will get a handful, and we were really close to this game not happening either. Let's see if that ball came out late. It certainly did, as Fouché has the football. But the initial mark is that Emory was down.
So there's the scrum. That ball's out.
The ruling on the field of the runner down before the ball coming loose is under further review.
And I don't know that I heard a whistle because Emery was doing a great job with his leg drive. Watch this ball, it's out. There's no doubt that that football was raked out. It looked like maybe Joe Fouché was the one that came in there, saw the ball, and just raked it out of there. Yeah, you hear the whistle came in well after that ball was out. Fouché with the forced fumble and recovery. You know, before that ball came out, I was going to say John Emery's more of the shifty back, but he did a great job of moving that pile. But number 7, Joe Fouché, opportunistic. You see a ball carrier, he stood up. There was no whistle on forward progress, and that ball popped out of there.
I like this, getting the same view that Mark Curlis is
That's right.
getting at the moment. And there you see it right there. Fouché stripping it out of Emery's hands.
And boy, if you're the Arkansas defense, you had to have it. You just gave up a first down. You've been on the field a long time. Just gave up a 10-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. You needed to find a way to get to stop. They have been excellent in takeaways all season long.
They are far from a finished product. Sam Pittman would be the first to say that, but one of the reasons they've made such progress is what you just referenced. Arkansas, if they get this turnover, is +9 in turnovers on the season, first in the SEC, and that's top 10 in the country.
16 takeaways coming in. 13 of those were interceptions. Of course, last year they were -5 in margin, +8 now. I mean, that has definitely been a catalyst for their turnaround. And to me, this is clearly a fumble, and the football was recovered by the Arkansas defense.
So I'm sure Mark Curlis is trying to figure out where the football will be possessed for Arkansas.
After further review, although the ball was clearly fumbled, there was no clear recovery of the ball, so the ruling on the field stands.
Oh, wow. I don't know how that's possible. And if you're an Arkansas fan, you're going,
Not again.
not again, because this is the end of the Auburn game. No clear recovery. Joe Fouché, number 7, for Arkansas, comes in, rakes this ball out. There's no clear recovery. I don't know how that's possible. Look who comes out of the pile with the football. It's clearly Arkansas's ball. I don't. That's a really bad call. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. That's a clear recovery by the defense right there. I have no idea how that could have been arrived upon as no clear recovery. If John Emery maybe had a fingertip in there, but it was obvious that that was a fumble, a live ball, and recovered by the Arkansas defense.
And Emery gets to run it again, and the Razorbacks defense is all over him. Eric Thomas, true freshman from Pensacola, Florida, on the tackle. It's 3rd down, but it should be 1st down for Arkansas. Well, we were talking about it. We called this game too back in early October. It's a backwards clock up that Bo Nix attempted there. And in this game, they said there wasn't a clear recovery either. Auburn goes on to kick the game-winning field goal.
There's no doubt there was maybe more extenuating circumstance in that Auburn game. There wasn't anything that would have justified a no fumble there.
3rd and 4, Finley trying to move the chains, and he does. Kayshon Boutte right past the mark.
Now, I wonder, Boutte kind of extends this football late because he retreated after he made that
They're
catch.
saying first, I believe. He did come back, though.
And I think it was that second effort where he extends this football. TJ Finley throws a strike on 3rd down, and you see it there late because otherwise he had retreated, I think, behind the yards needed to get that conversion.
So LSU converts the 1st down, and Arkansas is going to have to overcome a call that all of their players and coaches are furious with. And now LSU takes a shot into double coverage It's incomplete. Butte, the intended target. Monteric Busta Brown almost had a pick.
Yeah, Brown coming over. Finley taking a shot on first down in plus territory. Hudson Clark had a shot at that one as well. You see two Razorbacks converging on this football. You had to know that LSU sideline was holding its breath. Perhaps yet another turnover on this series. Now the third pass broken up for Arkansas in this game. 4 tackles for loss. They've been opportunistic. As you can see, Finley looking to the sideline and hastily trying to get the play changed.
And it's Ty Davis-Price up the middle. It'll be third down. Stinch, I know all Arkansas fans and their players are going to have a hard time overcoming that call, but you have to. You have to focus on what's happening next.
Well, and you admire the defense, of course. They have to find a way to rally. This is a tired unit.
On a 3rd and 3, Davis-Price straight ahead, bumper pull with the tackle right at midfield. It'll be 4th down.
We talk about their needing to get that stop, as you see LSU at midfield going to get over the football and just sneak it right here.
Finley gets to the 49, and that should be enough.
Big Davis-Price coming in behind Finley, a little bush push for good measure. And really LSU offensively starting to lean on the Razorback defensive front.
It's not LSU's fault what happened with the officiating. No. You have to give Steve Ensminger and Coach O credit for this game plan so far. Wear down the Razorbacks.
Well, you get the 4th down conversion, 2 4th down conversions now on the afternoon for the LSU offense.
Finley, and that's a laser to Marshall into Arkansas territory. Another ball comes out, and this one is given to the Razorbacks.
Ruled a fumble on the field and a recovery. And maybe this is one of those the ball don't lie type scenarios. Arkansas seemingly got a fumble recovery earlier. Monteric Brown comes in, forces another, and the Razorbacks get the stop they desperately needed.
Peter Burns back in studio with the studio update. How about outside the footprint? Ohio State up 7-0 on the Hoosiers, but Miles Marshall catches this 68-yard pass from Michael Penix, and 2 plays later ends up scoring. Tied at 7, and I think the football karma gods are to finally give Arkansas the ball.
We had what looked to be an apparent fumble recovered by Arkansas, but ultimately the drive does end that way, although some 30 or 40 yards further down the field.
False start, number 78, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
What'd you make of all that we just saw with LSU possessing the football?
Well, I'll say this, like I say, the ball doesn't lie. Eventually it's going to work out. You'd like to think there what looked to be clearly a fumble, then a near interception, and then a clear fumble. And the Arkansas defense getting that much needed stop.
Franks doesn't like what he sees down the field. He's taken a lot of sacks this year. Throws that one to the sideline. It's incomplete. In fact, Arkansas is last in the conference. They've allowed 23 sacks. The other thing is Arkansas, regardless of what anybody thinks of the calls, they got to stay on the football field.
They have to possess this football. There's no doubt. Yeah, you scored quickly. It's a good job that time, at least by Franks. Keep that ball alive, throw it away so you don't take the negative yards.
Underneath throw and blown up, and here comes the flag. Eli Ricks on the tackle of Mike Woods. So Mark Hurlis will get together with a couple of officials here and see if this is targeting and go take a look at it.
Boy, they are high on Eli Ricks. Big, long, true freshman, another one of those guys playing early, and he's, of course, arguing, I led with my shoulder. That would be his first tackle on the game. Would be an inauspicious
Two
one.
fouls on the play. Pass interference, number 22, offense. Personal foul targeting, number 1, defense. The play is under further review.
Of course, Rick saying, I came in with my shoulder. He did. He also made simultaneous contact with what looks like the crown of his helmet. See him lower his head, and he makes forceful contact in the head or neck area. It doesn't help that after the shot, he stands over him and tells him about it.
You see 10 yards ahead. That's where Traylon Smith was flagged for offensive pass interference.
Yeah. You know, there's two key elements in all these targeting fouls. If you make contact with the crown of your helmet or forcible contact to the head or neck
After
area.
further review, the ruling of targeting is confirmed. Number 1 is disqualified. Those fouls offset. Replay second down.
This guy is going to be a terrific college football player. He's already had an outstanding year. He's tied with Hudson Clark and Jalen Catalon of the Razorbacks with 3 interceptions to lead the SEC. Freshman from Rancho Cucamonga, California in the San Diego area. Won't be able to play the rest of this game. Will be back next week against Texas A&M.
You can see the ball skills. 3 interceptions, tied for the lead in the conference. Bo Pelini said, look, he's got all the tools. He likes to peek a little bit, tries to make plays on the ball a little bit too much this time, trying to make a physical play on the ball, and it looks like another perhaps procedure penalty. Left tackle Myron Cunningham flinching a little bit, but was he drawn by the defense? It looked like
Offside, number 3 defense in the neutral zone, causing a reaction by the offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
It's Andre Anthony.
Yeah, he was a little bit early. He came into the neutral zone, he got back, but it was enough to trigger that reaction from Myron Cunningham, the left tackle. You see the movement there, and then Cunningham responds to it. Good job by the officials for getting that right. Doesn't always work out that way. As a former offensive lineman, those defensive guys are steady trying to play mind tricks on you.
It sounds like you're having some flashbacks. 2nd and 10. Smith goes to that side and is up near the 35-yard line. And here it comes. Arkansas on 3rd down is 0 for 4 today. Already 5 punts in the game. They got to get to the 39 here. 0 for 5. There's the sack by Anthony.
How's that for get back? Jumped the count earlier, and this time, watch him. Here's Anthony here, working against Cunningham. And Felipe Franks, he's got to hit. Right now, the ball's going to come out. He had Hudson Henry over the middle of the formation. He was trying to work to the right side, and Anthony was all over him.
Bauer for the 6th time. And it's Stingley with the fair catch, but he muffs it and dives back on it inside the 30. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the country, Derek Stingley. Fortunate to allow his LSU mates to possess the ball.
Time report will show you a really close game between Florida and Vanderbilt right now, and Devontae Smith's going to break your record?
Oh, that'll happen today.
Okay,
yeah.
Just thinking. What are you seeing in Fayetteville, though?
I'm seeing TJ Finley making some nice throws so far, Chis.
Yeah, like the offensive game plan. Eat clock, run the ball.
See you at half.
Well said by those guys. Finley's come alive. 8 of his last 9 going to the ground, this time with Chris Curry And Chris tries the edge, and Busta Brown greets him. Curry, the sophomore from Acres, Florida, wearing that number 18 that Matt Mauck made famous. There you see Coach O and Steve Ensminger done a great job with the offensive game plan so far today. How about the time of possession?
That and the plays, 35 plays run already was to play in the first half. But you're right, they've been on the football field the majority of this contest.
2nd and 9. Nice smart throw to McMath, who had that touchdown catch. Be 3rd and short.
Well, we've seen LSU, they've done a good job, I think, of getting Fields, or Finley rather, into 3rd and manageable.
3rd and manageable, and Curry goes right at the Arkansas front, and he's short.
Greg Brooks was in the backfield almost right away. Did a great job. He just ends up kind of hopping on Curry's back, like steer wrestling. Watch him. He just gets on his back, waits for the cavalry to arrive. Here comes his buddies, Jalen Catalon and others, to deny the yardage needed.
That's a big stop for Arkansas, who's decimated by COVID issues on defense today. Getting the football back. And Burks comes up to make the catch at the 25-yard line. Tonight we'll have SEC football final hosted by Dari Noka, Gene Chizik, Chris Doring, and Roman Harper. They'll take you through the biggest stories from the day and break all the games down. It's at 10:30 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Big day with Kentucky, Alabama, and then Georgia, Mississippi State here on SEC Network. Tennessee and Auburn at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Jeremy Pruitt had his first signature win on the Plains 2 years ago, a 30-24 victory, and no Will Muschamp tonight. Stench's old quarterback, Mike Bobo, the interim head coach for South Carolina.
It's been a wild ride for sure this year. A sea change at South Carolina with the head coaching swap.
Franks on an option play gets 4.
And see if Arkansas can extend this possession. 4 out of their 6 drives have been 3 and out. You get the quick change off of the eventual fumble, and he gave the ball right back to LSU.
2nd and 7 picked off. Stepping in front of it is Jabril Cox, and he's done this before. He gets right near the goal line. He's short. Cox, the transfer from North Dakota State, had 7 picks when he was a member of the Bison. He had a pick 6 for LSU against Mississippi State, and he almost got another one.
Bo Pelini said when he was at North Dakota State, this guy was more like a nickelback. We'd seen him play. He's a space player, and he looked like it there. He was just dropping right underneath the route. And Felipe Franks just has to get a little bit more air on that football. Jabril Cox, he's a long player at 6'4", elevates, and gets a huge turnover.
The ruling on the field, interception, returned out of bounds to the 1-yard line is under further review.
Yeah, they're going to see if he got to the pylon. It appeared at first glance he was short, but they want to take another look at it. Felipe Franks has been terrific with the football so far this year. That's 117 straight that was snapped before throwing a pick.
Yeah, we talked about it coming in this game. The last 6 games, he's thrown 15 touchdowns and only 1 interception. As you see the play being made right there at the pylon, hard to see from that first look. As you see Traylon Smith getting there. Felipe Franks coming over to try to make the play as well. Right at the pylon. If he isn't in, he is right on the doorstep of that goal line. What a huge swing in momentum. We're just talking about how does Arkansas extend this possession, see if they can get past a 3rd down, and instead, you see, does Cox step out of bounds, like right there at the 3-yard line before the play right there at the pylon? Right there. Hard to see it.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. First and goal at the 1-yard line.
It did appear that Cox stepped out there at the 1, and then you saw the ball coming free to the ground.
Bo Pelini was saying, it's been difficult. It's been a transition for Cox. He's had to spend more time in the box, behind the line of scrimmage, having to play downhill, run support, run fits. Not really his strong suit, more of a space player. Boy, he demonstrated it there on that interception.
Carter blocking for Davis Price easily into the end zone. Work on your dancing moves last 3 weeks.
Maybe that's what it was. Looked like a bunch of cloggers out there.
Sophomore from Baton Rouge with a 1-yard touchdown run, his 3rd of the season. And Tigers, with this York extra point, will be up double digits.
How about the Tiger defense? A beleaguered unit. Other than the big play by Arkansas to Treylon Burks, they have played well in this game. And none more important than this play right there. And you can see just trying to get it to Trey Knox. That ball's too flat. I'm not sure he saw Cox underneath that route. And Cox with a great return after the interception, and then Davis Price just hammered it home. Once again, this Arkansas offense really struggled here in the first half. Credit LSU defensively, finding ways to get them off the field quickly, either with turnovers or forcing punts.
Well, they said they must commit to the run today, and they've done a terrific job of that. Davis Price already 11 carries. John Emery has 5. Chris Curry has 1. 19 rushes by the tailbacks so far today. And Felipe Frank's going to have to overcome that interception. As Avery Atkins will kick it deep to Nathan Perotti. Starting at the 25-yard line. Tomorrow we'll have the Women's Soccer Tournament Championship match for you right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. 7th-seeded Vanderbilt took down 3rd-seeded Texas A&M in the semis and now square off against number 1 seed Arkansas at 2 Eastern from the Orange Beach Sportsplex in Orange Beach, Alabama. Razorbacks best in the country, no surprise there in women's soccer. Arkansas has not had a drive that lasted more than 4 plays in the first half.
You see LSU almost doubling up on plays run. 39 offensive snaps for LSU, only 22 for the Hogs.
Franks goes to the air, has a man open. It's Mike Woods beating the defender into LSU territory. He got a step on Jay Ward.
2 targets for Mike Woods, 2 catches. And boy, is he emerging as a deep play threat for this Razorbacks passing offense.
50-yard completion to Woods, and Franks back to Woods again on the back shoulder, and now they're going to get Ward for a flag.
You go back to Eli Ricks being ejected for targeting. Now we see more Jay Ward, obviously Cordell Flott, Derek Stingley in that secondary for LSU.
Of course, on the last drive, Eli Ricks gets the targeting penalty. He's out of the game.
This is the first time Arkansas has been in the red zone. Keep in mind, the last time they scored was on a big play. You could see Woods trying to come back to this football. Ward's already all tangled up with
Number 5 defense. Penalties 50 yards, first down.
Sophomore from Moultrie, Georgia. Franks has been going at him on consecutive plays.
Yeah, tempo right. You get a big play, you come right back at him. See if you can't get another. It looked like they were trying to go with a back shoulder throw that time. If you're Ward, you just got beaten deep. And so you're thinking, got to stay behind or at least in phase with that receiver. Was well executed, or at least nearly well executed. Still drove the PI, as you see 6 for 6 by Felipe Franks.
All on this down. Spotted at the 10-yard line, so it is 1st and goal as Felipe looks over at the sideline.
And here in the red zone, they like their tight end a lot. As you see, they just moved Blake Kern, number 87, to the right side of the formation.
He's looking that way. Instead, checks down to Smith. It's a wide throw, 2nd down.
We talk about the accuracy of Felipe Franks. In that time, we saw Smith earlier, should have corralled a pass from Franks out of the backfield. That time, that one was on the quarterback, too high. And Smith had an opportunity, had a blocker in front of him. Could have made a play in space to find his way in the end zone.
So Franks is now 6 for 7 on 1st down, 0 for 5 with no yards passing and an interception on this down. Keeps it himself to the ground and dives to the end zone. Touchdown.
How about that for an answer by the Razorbacks? You get a turnover that goes the other way, your opponent scores, you get a couple of big plays, and then your quarterback sells out. Superman into the end zone. What an effort by Felipe Franks. Does he get the ball over the line before his elbow makes contact?
Yeah.
Unless there is a down the line look. Ruled a touchdown here. This is a perfect look at it. The ball's in his right arm. His left elbow came in contact, but I think that the ball had already broken the front of the plane. What an answer. Back-to-back throws to Mike Woods, one of them resulting in a PI, and then a fantastic effort by Franks to get in the end zone.
Well, they still haven't stayed on the field very long. 3 plays, 75 yards in 37 seconds, but the Razorbacks cut it to 3.
Well, if you're not going to keep the football, then it needs to end up in the end zone. And he's done it twice now. Big plays that have undone the LSU defense. And incidentally, in the secondary, coming into this game, they were allowing 10 yards of completion. That one's going to skew even higher now with the big plays in the passing game by Arkansas, repeatedly able to get behind the coverage of the LSU secondary. And you have to think that the ejection of Eli Ricks, and you see Bo Pelini coaching up his defense emphatically and unsurprisingly trying to get his message across.
That's the way he always delivers his message, with so much passion. His second stint as the DC at LSU.
Look at that number. I mean, this is DBU, 10 yards per attempt. And you sense the frustration in talking with the defensive coordinator and Bo Pelini. He said he has whittled down his call sheet immensely, and yet still they're seeing some huge plays being made in the secondary.
It's not an excuse, it's just the truth. They've played 10 true freshmen on the defensive side of the ball so far this year. Felipe Franks takes advantage.
And it's resulted 25 yards per completion today for Arkansas. So you can imagine the frustration. The players too, for that matter. Transitioning philosophically, the structure of the defense is different. The personnel of the defense, greatly different.
So TJ Finley will go back to work, and remember, LSU gets the ball first in the second half. John Emery goes to the ground and will pick up 6. PB, what's happening with the Gators and the Doors in Nashville?
All right, Taylor, Gators are starting to Wake up, Chris Doran. How about Kyle Trask finds a pretty good wide receiver?
Yeah, a little bit of an ill-advised throw, but that's the benefit of having a 6'5" wide receiver that can go get it.
Trayvon Grimes now 17-10 Gators.
Thank you, Peter. 2nd and 4 for LSU, and Finley into traffic. Terrace Marshall's going to catch that football. First down.
How about the hands of Terrace Marshall? Because Greg Brooks Jr. was all over him, and he just snatched that football. He looked like Larry Fitzgerald on this reception. Watch the hands flash up and down.
Again, Marshall, one of the best receivers in college football. As Emery takes the carry and gets a couple. Marshall had the team meeting earlier this week and told his teammates, I'm riding with you guys the rest of the way. In this day and age, you know, you don't want to give somebody extra credit for sticking with the plan, but there are plenty of people that could opt out right now in Marshall's situation.
And Terrace Marshall definitely among them, but he's leading from the front.
2nd and 8. Somehow that ball got in there to McMath to midfield for another first down.
TJ Finley has impressed me on a couple of throws. Another throw in traffic. Watch Joe Fouché try to break on this football. And Finley jabs it in there. And that was one of the things that stood out in film. This kid does not lack for a fastball. He can pace that football in there, narrowly beating the hands of the defender there.
Well, Coach O said he's going to be another great LSU quarterback. Pressed into action as a true freshman after the Brennan injury, 14 of 19 today. Emery bounces off Razorbacks for a couple. Into Hogs territory. LSU does have all 3 of their timeouts.
Well, Finley, the way he started, 3 of 7. He's been 11 of his last 12 as Bumper Poole comes up, adding to his statistics, incredibly active at linebacker.
2nd and 8. The underneath pass is there again, and it's Emery. 7 more.
Kind of double clutched that catch. Otherwise, I think he's probably able to run after it and get the first down. As it is, to force a 3rd and short.
3rd and 2. Emery right at the Hogs defense. First down, LSU.
Yet another conversion. You see Joe Fouché coming up from safety on a 3rd and 2. Unless your safety's shooting off the edge, you really want to see that occurring. And you see LSU able to milk this clock down, working for the last possession of the half.
Now Finley takes a shot, and McMath, the intended target, incomplete. Again, can't say enough about the game plan that Steve Ensminger has put together today. Arkansas is missing 6 contributors on the defensive line due to COVID issues, and LSU has possessed the football more than 21 of the 29 minutes of football action today.
It's been dominating in that regard. You know, big plays keeping Arkansas in this game as you see a late substitution running on the field. Deshad Stewart at defensive end to rush the passer.
Ball batted down at the line of scrimmage, incomplete.
There's Jonathan Marshall. Yeah, I mean, once again, Jonathan Marshall, who's playing a ton of snaps in the middle of that defensive front, gets great push, gets his hands up. LSU, 5 of 11, and they've averaged 4.5 yards to go on 3rd down. This is a 3rd and long.
Finley pumps, stays behind the line, and it's a first down to Gilbert.
That is a dangerous throw by Finley, but he gets it done. Buys just enough time, scrambling out of that pocket, didn't have anywhere that he liked. Eric Gilbert right there in the middle, but throwing back towards the middle of the field. This will be the 11th play of this drive.
LSU. This will be a 30-second timeout. Reset the game clock to 27 seconds, please. 27 seconds on the game clock.
How about the way TJ Finley buys time and stays behind the line of scrimmage to convert here?
Only 3 guys rushing. And really, you know, he felt A little bit of a body landing right at his feet. Probably didn't have to leave the pocket. Rolling right, and he throws right back to the middle of the field. Eric Gilbert trying to work back to a soft spot. You see your quarterback scrambling. You typically want to move back towards him. Instead, Gilbert kind of settled down. Finley was able to find him. It worked out for LSU. Another conversion. Only rushed 3, and Finley did a good job of finding a way to get the ball to a receiver to convert.
Who knew when we were watching LSU win the national championship in January, you'd see true freshman to true freshman 10 months later in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Right, Ogeron said it. We've got talent. We just don't have experience. And you're seeing it demonstrated. These guys are growing up before our eyes.
Finley across the middle to Gilbert, inside the 10-yard line. First and goal, LSU. The clock will stop as they move the chains, and LSU still has those 2 timeouts left. Marked just outside the 10, at the 11. Finley. And it looked like it one-hopped in there to Boutte. Incomplete. 9 seconds left. Probably could have bought another play had you used a timeout there.
Yeah, or just unload the football sooner. If you don't like what you see, throw an incomplete pass. Because you've got there, you see that ball kind of skipping in there. And you see Ed Ogeron.
Second charge timeout, LSU.
He took a timeout.
30-second timeout.
Let's take a look at that catch, or at least that pass attempt to Boutte. Does he get his hands underneath this football? Even if he does, his foot is out. But I'm not sure he doesn't make that catch, but you see his foot right there. Looks like it was out of bounds. You see the line judge is right there on top of it. So is Ed Ogeron. He and the line judge both had a good view of that attempt to Boutte.
More than double the amount of plays and more than double the amount of time of possession for LSU today. In their first game in 3 weeks, TJ Finley, a game to forget in Auburn back on October 31st. He's played a whale of a first half, trying to finish it off here from the 11-yard line.
Well, here's your top 2 receivers right here. That's Terrace Marshall and Eric Gilbert.
To the ground, they do have 1 timeout left, and Davis Price will be tackled at the 6.
Third and final charge timeout, LSU. 30-second timeout.
It's a bit strange to me that they didn't take one more shot at the end zone there, Stinch. Instead, go to the ground in the draw play, thinking that Davis Price might get into the end zone and fool the Razorbacks.
I think knowing that they had a timeout in their pocket, they're thinking, look, see if we can't sneak one in there. But you're right, you throw the football, it's incomplete, the clock stops anyway.
It's a big break for Arkansas. Instead of a 10-point deficit at the half, York trying to make it a 6-point advantage for LSU. And again, Tigers do get it to start the third quarter.
Second charge timeout, Arkansas. 30-second timeout.
We've been talking so much about the true freshmen on the field today in this football game. LSU winning the national championship and littering the NFL draft, tying a school record, including the first pick in the draft, Joe Burrow. In total, they lost 31 players, 14 starters, 29 guys on the 2-deep in New Orleans aren't playing football. You had the opt-outs, you lose your coordinators. Aranda's the head coach at Baylor. Joe Brady's calling plays for the Panthers. No team that's ever won a national championship, at least in this century, has gone through something like this.
No, you're right. I mean, it's a complete and total overhaul. The jerseys look familiar, but that's it. I mean, everybody else is brand new to this thing.
Chip shot field goal for Cade York. 23 yards, and that sends us to the half.
End of the second quarter.
Tigers have won 33 in a row when they lead at halftime, and they get the football first in the third quarter. Coming up next, Peter Burns, Gene Chizik, and Chris Doering have your halftime report. It's the battle for the Golden Boot in Fayetteville.
Indeed, it is us three. Welcome to the Farm Rich Halftime Report. Gene Chizik, Chris Doering, and Peter Burns as the LSU Tigers. Mr. Automatic there, Cade York getting a field goal, 16-16 now, under 40 yards, and now 20-14 Tigers. Chiz, you look kind of a roller coaster ride for both squads in that first half. What'd you see?
Yeah, it is. But what jumps out to me, guys, is LSU's defense, believe it or not, is playing much better. They gave up 2 explosive plays that led to points, but I don't look at just those. Some of those things are going to happen. If they'll keep those to a minimum, they can still play good defense the rest of the day. They're getting a line right. Their run fits are right. The coverages, other than those two, have been good. They've been really good on third down. Got a pick that ended up inside the 5 that led to points. So I really like, you can tell Bo Pelini has shaved the playbook down and they're playing faster. They're dominating in time of possession as well. I mean, Arkansas has had very little margin for error because of how few plays they've been able to run. And you look at what LSU's defense has done better. The one thing they still have some issues with is in the secondary. Arkansas was able to take advantages of that on a couple big plays in the first half. This one right here, just inexplicable again. Switch route, switch release coming off the line of scrimmage. How many times have we seen LSU defenders bang into each other as if they have no awareness? But, yeah, and they ought to know that's coming, CD. That's a wheel route that they've seen a million times. Yeah, from that alignment, that split there, something they got to be aware of. But other than that, they played pretty well. Felipe Franks trying to force one here. Jabril Cox stepping in front. Guys seem to have a nose for the football. Had an interception for a touchdown early in the season against Mississippi State. But again, how many times have we seen Felipe Franks hit Mike Woods on that same exact play down the sideline, and then a little adept running by Franks, the effort to get in the end zone, has them back within a field goal prior to that last kick by York.
Overall, too, if you look at it, Jay Ward ends up being what the true freshman secondary or a cornerback now. How much do you expect Kendall Briles try to dial up a lot more of that in the second half?
I don't think there's any question he's going to look for one-on-ones all over the place. That's how they're moving the ball. There's no methodical drives for Arkansas right now. It's all big plays that have led to points, so be expecting them to attack the secondary more. There's a lot of young guys.
Let's hear from Coach O, his team, the Tigers, up at half. Tara Tamlich caught up with him.
All right, Coach, coming into this week, you talked about how you wanted to see some improvements from your rushing defense. Have you seen that today so far?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with our defensive line up front, the way we stop them to run, but we got to eliminate the explosive plays.
Well, offensively, you couldn't punch it in right there at the end, but how do you think that side of the ball is performing so far?
They've been doing pretty good. You know, we got to stop their penetration. They're a good defense. This is going to be a battle.
How do you get more explosive going into the second half?
Yeah, we got to throw the ball deep. We got to get the ball in our best players' hands, and we can't cause any turnovers. We can't have any turnovers.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Go Tigers.
Figured we get a little Go Tigers there at the end. How about this one? CD, you called it all week long that you love Ken Seals, and it's always tough to play early in Nashville.
It is. At 11 a.m. local start, the Gators a little out of whack, but the Commodores were not. Right out of the gate, 75 yards right down the field. It's impressive, the development of some of these weapons around Ken Seals. The future's bright for this Vandy offense.
But, of course, you got Kyle Trask, and he finds number 1, Chiz, wide open. Kadarius Toney getting it done.
Well, we haven't seen Kadarius Toney wide open much this year, have we? No, it happens to everybody. Again, Kadarius Toney's really come on the scene as one of the best receivers in college football.
Game tied at 10. Trask throws it up like a Chris Doering catch right there. Trayvon Grimes comes down with it. 17-10 at half. We can talk as much as we want about Florida, and obviously they continue to be good, but you continue to be impressed with what Vanderbilt's showing as far as heart. Why is that?
Oh, I mean, they've shown a lot of fight where a lot of teams probably have already started packing it in. Mm-hmm. It seems like Vandy's actually getting better, and we may very well go through this season without Derek Mason getting a victory, but I have no question that he has this program on the right track right now. The way that Vanderbilt's playing with a freshman quarterback, Cam Johnson, Chris Pierce for a touchdown there, Abdur Rahman, Keon Brooks didn't even play today. There's a lot of different guys that seem to have been stepping up the last couple of weeks, Chiz, that have me really excited about what the direction of this offense particularly is, but the program as a whole.
Yeah, they've been impressive for sure. I'm a little worried about Florida's defense. They came out sleepwalking at the beginning. An 11 and a 12-play drive by Vanderbilt to open the game for 10 points. Now, they did get better in the second half, but early in the game, CD, they were discombobulated. They didn't get a line correctly. You're getting 2 or 3 defensive penalties that kept drives alive. We've seen this at Vanderbilt from Florida before in previous years. I didn't think it would happen this year, but defensively, they couldn't get off the field. They couldn't stop the run. But the second quarter, they have played well. 4 straight punts. So
it's a real thing. That Nashville early in the morning kind of situation, especially with the new routine.
Not only we talk about home field advantage, we're talking about kind of a home field advantage without the fans.
It's 100% true. And Dan Mullen changed the routine. They showed up at the stadium an hour before the game, already dressed, just to stay out of that small locker room.
2020 is crazy, including games that you think there's going to get played, and ultimately they don't. And how about this one down in Tallahassee, Clemson, Florida State? That game was supposed to kick off at noon, but an offensive lineman, a backup for the Clemson Tigers, tested negative earlier in the week, tested positive, and they got their game results or their test results that day or this morning, and that game was going to be postponed just 2 hours before that scheduled kickoff. All right, we have a lot more games on the slate for us, and well, listen, let's be honest. Devontae Smith's breaking your record, Chris Doran.
There is no question.
Just be ready. It's not if, but a matter of when. We'll talk about that as they will take on the Kentucky Wildcats, but former Florida Gator, now Arkansas Razorbacks going Superman. How about Felipe Franks gets the touchdown? 2014 Tigers over Hogs.
This halftime report is presented by Farm Ridge. Grab a snack.
Gene Chizik, Peter Burns, Chris Doring. We've got a Saturday slate. It's nice. We got a little more games we had last weekend, boys. Let's talk about this one tonight, 7:30 on SEC Network Alternate. Missouri, South Carolina. Mike Bobo taking over as the head coach for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, tough week for South Carolina, right? An emotional week. Will Muschamp gets let go. 4 players opt out. Mike Bobo's got to take this over. It's a tough slate. Mizzou's coming in. Let me tell you, this is a dangerous football team.
Dangerous that we might see JT Daniels be dangerous for the Bulldogs?
I would count on seeing JT Daniels. I'm interested to see what he's able to do against Mississippi State defense that has not looked the way they did early in the season. I expect a little bit of bump of energy. I'm excited to see what this Georgia offense looks like pushing the ball down the field a little bit more.
State only had 49 scholarship players make the trip to Athens, but kudos for them for trying to play that game. Auburn, Tennessee, the one that we've all circled here, Chiz. What do you like?
Yeah, tale of 2 teams, right? Tennessee on the downslide, lost 4 in a row. Remember, Auburn hadn't played in 3 weeks, but the last time they did, they wore LSU out. So it's going to be exciting to see exactly which team shows up for both teams, right? Now, who's going to play quarterback at Tennessee? Is he going to be efficient? It's going to be a tough game for Tennessee to go in there and win.
I assume we'll see Mac Jones playing quarterback for the Crimson Tide, but we haven't had a chance to see him a lot lately. Of course, their game against LSU was not end up being played, and it was an emotional week in Lexington for the Wildcats.
Yeah, how do they bounce back after dealing with so much last week? I think the interesting thing was this is a game I had circled on the schedule when the SEC announced the addition of 2 cross-divisional opponents. I thought that Kentucky could match up really well on the lines of scrimmage, but they have just underperformed to what my expectations were in the preseason.
You want to take a picture of that before it gets broken today?
Yeah, let me get one real quick.
Go ahead, snap it, put it on the gram, Snapchat, MySpace, whatever you want.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, got it.
Sure you had that. Most receiving touchdowns, SEC history. Devontae Smith, 31. Of course, a younger Chris Doring wearing a Schmedium shirt there, getting it done. Ultimately, though, does it fall today?
For sure. And I mentioned it last night, Chiz. This has been my pleasure to hold a record in this great conference for 25 years. That really one of the biggest things to think about all the great receivers that have come through the conference. And for 25 years, I had the chance to say that nobody in the conference caught more touchdowns passes than me. It's pretty cool.
So that's an amazing record that he's had for 25 years. Because offenses these days are way different than they were back then. And CD and I were talking about it. Think about how far ahead Steve Spurrier, he was ahead of the game exponentially.
Yeah.
That he was able to have those kind of records set 25 years ago.
Then we saw LSU do it. Of course, we've seen Alabama do it. Of course, you got the Trask and the Gators doing it right now.
So let's talk about Devontae Smith, though. I don't want to
Well, no, I was just going to ask, we normally do like a bio on you of the 3 things that are very impressive. What are we going to put now that you're not the SEC?
UF all-time leading touchdown receiver. We'll fall back to that.
You still have that one?
I got that one
okay.
for now. I mean, these guys are throwing it all over the yard.
Kyle Pitts has been injured this year, so he hasn't been able to play.
Let's talk about Devontae Smith.
Yes.
Devontae Smith coming back for another year, taking advantage of his opportunity at Alabama. Just how much fun it's been to watch him for the last 3.5 years.
Yeah, not many people do it.
By the way, also, there were Nick Saban said earlier this week, Jalen Waddle wants to get out of his cast and wants to try to return if the Alabama
awesome.
Crimson Tide
Let's be careful.
That would be awesome.
Let's be careful.
It was an awesome run there from Ty Davis-Price, one of the reasons why the Tigers are up 6 at the break. We thought at the beginning of the year that we would talk about the Hoosiers trying to take down the Buckeyes and Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson early. Buckeyes rolling.
What have we seen, man? Just continued accuracy from Fields this year. It's been fun to watch that offense roll.
Although Indiana, Tom Allen's got them playing incredible
You got to give
ball.
Tom Allen an unbelievable amount of credit for them to be able to be as good and productive as they've been so far.
Still sounds like a Ninja Turtle. Master Teague scores from 41 yards out. They're up 28-7 over at half. App State, Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers down 7-0. Grayson McCall, Isaiah Likely, 75-yard touchdown. How about that?
These guys are legit. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you don't want any part of these guys. They're
You know who you don't want a part
offense.
of? App State. They're always that mid-major team that comes in and shows Coastal Carolina.
How about their helmet, too? The stove pipe.
The helmets are sweet, aren't they?
Nice. What do you see in the second half? I know y'all talk about it, football final tonight, 10:30, but what are you looking?
I want to see Arkansas be able to convert some third downs.
We'll see if that happens. You guys will recap it tonight, 10:30. Racy McMath drops it perfect. 20-14, Tigers over the Hogs.
This halftime report is presented by Farm Ridge. Grab a snack.
LSU Tigers lead Arkansas at the half with Matt Stinchcomb. I'm Taylor Zarzer. And Stinch, Arkansas is down a lot of bodies on defense, and LSU is taking advantage, controlling the football.
There's no doubt they got to find a way to possess the football more here in the second half. And LSU, they have to play better on first down because effectively that's where Arkansas has made all their hay offensively. The big plays, even the completions, they're coming on first down. And that's something that has plagued LSU defensively all season long is their first down defense. They're giving offenses head starts. The big plays have eaten them up. There's no doubt about it. Offensively for Arkansas, while that's kept them in the game, it is dragging all the energy out of their defense because they just can't stage any drives on offense.
Yeah, let's take a look at what's happening here in the first half with the stats as LSU has dominated the time of possession, the total yards, and more important than that, the plays. LSU 52 plays, Arkansas just 25.
And I know that we've mentioned it, you can't underscore it enough. The long-term impact that can have on a decimated defensive personnel for Arkansas, it's likely to show up, and it shows up typically in the second halves. The problem with your big bodies, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, once they're cashed out, once their legs are gone, you don't get them back. They don't just go to the sideline and bounce back. They're done for the game.
Two big Arkansas plays in the first half. Felipe Franks, the deep ball to a wide open Traylon Burks gave Arkansas an early lead, and this got him back in the game. Franks sacrificing his body to the goal line.
Just a tremendous effort. And then, of course, LSU defensively and Jabril Cox. He's been around some championships. The interception gets him right on the goal line. Davis-Price able to hammer it home. See if the Tigers pick up where they left off with a ground-oriented offense.
Late field goal, and now they get the ball to start the second half, and it's Davis-Price, who had over 60 yards rushing in the first half, gets 6 more.
Defensively for Arkansas, it's just one of those things where you cannot afford to bend but not break. because eventually you'll just do nothing but bend. There is no stopping it. Turnovers, the turnover in the first half for the defense, bailing out the Razorbacks to turn LSU away.
Davis Price again, being patient, but nowhere to go. Catalan there for the tackle. That'll be third down. What'd you think of TJ Finley in the first half?
Well, you know, he didn't start off that great. You think about it, but boy, did he finish hot. And the way that he was able to even manage the pocket on the last drive right before the half led to a field goal. He's been able to find ways to get the ball downfield when he's needed to. And yet again, a third and manageable, 4 to go to convert. They're doing a good enough job on first and second down.
Again, it's Marshall right past the sticks. Needed 4, got 5.
The last time they played versus Auburn, Taylor, he was off. As a passer, he was just off. The ball was behind. The ball was coming in way too hot. Here, he's demonstrated not only better placement, but also better pacing. He's hitting receivers in the hands, especially on these slants.
He's targeted Marshall 8 times already. 6 catches for Terrace in the game. We have not seen Max Johnson today. Coach O and Coach Ensminger wanted to get him some action, but wanted to see how Finley would do first, and he has gone the whole way and looked good. Another handoff to Davis Price.
We talked about them getting Rosenthal back at left tackle, so here he is right here, number 51. You'll see the way this play starts out, it's intended to hit outside. See him pulling the guard, and instead they end up just running straight downhill. And great movement by the backside, the left side of the LSU offensive front. That's been their strength even when Rosenthal wasn't in the lineup.
Ty will get a couple more. It'll be third and short. It hasn't necessarily been pretty today, but it's been effective. You're wearing out a defensive unit that is down 6 defensive linemen due to COVID issues. Arkansas has several players that haven't seen any action this year that are on the field right now in that defensive front. So this game plan is working.
There's no doubt. They're playing the long game here. And you consider that Arkansas, going back to the second half, they've been on the field for 20 straight plays. There's only so much recovery you can make over a halftime.
Empty backfield. Finley is going to be short. It's Bumper Pool and Grant Morgan, 2 of the best tacklers in college football. 4th down.
Arkansas played coverage. This is what they do, third down. They'll walk up, they kind of sugar up those linebackers in the gaps. They only rushed 3 and flooded the coverage with bodies. LSU saying, look, we think we've got a tired defense on our hands. They're going to kind of sugar huddle. I'll be interested to see if they actually run a play, try to draw them off sides. We saw it earlier where an Arkansas defender was in the neutral zone.
It's a great idea when you've got backups on the field like Torian Carter and Matayo Soli that haven't seen a lot of action this year, but give those guys credit. They stayed in their stances.
Delay of game, offense, number 11. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Yeah, you see Ed Ogeron over there. He's just saying, look, just calm down a little bit. You come out hot, thinking that you got an opportunity. They've already converted a couple of 4th downs.
Exactly what Barry Odom's defense needed to do to start the second half for Arkansas, forcing a Von Rosenberg punt. He's been sensational, gets another good bounce inside the 10, down to the 9. Let's go to Tara Talmadge, who caught up with Sam Pittman at halftime.
Well, guys, like you said, I caught up with Sam Pittman coming out of that break and asked him, what's the key to a comeback for your team here in the second half? He said that in order to pull this off, they're going to have to run the ball more here in the second half. They've got to keep this defense off the field LSU has had about 52 touches or possessions, whereas Arkansas has only had the ball for about 25. So in order to change that and keep this defense off the field, they have to run the ball.
They do, and Traylon Smith, their top running back, 7 carries, just 15 yards in the first half. Rakeem Boyd not playing today due to COVID issues. The fake to Smith, throw to Burks. It gets maybe half a yard. It's second down. First down, Franks has been terrific. All 7 of his completions have been on first down. 0 of 5 and an interception on second and third downs. Lost a yard on that first play, and Franks takes off and dives ahead just short of a first. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Nice awareness that time. You take what's being given you. It's easy rush lane for Felipe Franks.
Arkansas is 0 for 5 on third down, and Smith is short again. Andre Anthony with the tackle.
It wasn't even close. I mean, you see Arkansas offensive players trying to sell it. And you said it, Andre Anthony in the backfield. And Traylon Smith wasn't even close. Watch Anthony. He comes right underneath the block of Hudson Henry. Great defensive effort. A couple of them that we've seen that from Andre Anthony.
Offense staying on the field on 4th and 1.
Deep in your own territory here. This is quite a gamble.
Own
for Arkansas.
18-yard line on the Sugar Huddle. Franks, there's movement.
False start, number 78, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down. Correction, 4th down.
And you can see Stromberg is just late with the snap. Everybody else was ready to go. It looked to me like Ricky Stromberg, I don't know if he just didn't hear the cadence or what happened right there. Regardless, I'm not so sure that ultimately didn't work out better for the Razorbacks, that didn't get off. You get stuffed right there, short football field. Other than the big plays that have kept you in this ball game, you are gifting your opponent with a red zone possession.
Arkansas has not had a drive last longer than 4 plays on offense, and Reed Bauer will punt from his own goal line. This is a beauty. Stingley inside the 30. And stays on his feet past the 35 up to the 37, and a flag is down. That's a 61-yard punt by Bauer.
During the return, holding number 16, return team. 10-yard penalty for the end of the run, 1st down.
Well, Arkansas
after the play,
wanted to
sideline warning. LSU, this is their first warning.
Arkansas thought about going for it for their own 18. Instead, it's a penalty, and Reed Bauer flips the field. All presented by Allstate. I don't think that's the golden boot. It is a golden boot. Today's game is the battle for the boot. Tigers lead at 41-22, 2 ties. First meeting back in 1901, and since Coach O's become the permanent head coach, it's been all LSU Tigers as they look for their 5th straight. Fake to John Emery. Finley with his first bad ball in a couple of quarters, throwing it at the feet of Marshall. Now there's the boot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's the one. Okay.
You don't actually get that person's shoe.
Yeah, there's no zipper or laces on that boot.
That is Enoch Jackson. Pressed into duty today.
Offside, contact by number 99 defense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Jackson lining up next to Jonathan Marshall. Typically that would be Isaiah Nichols or the Clemson transfer Xavier Kelly, and both of those guys are out with COVID issues.
You know, Preston to service is a good way to term it. And they've actually got him in there in relief of Jonathan Marshall right now at that 0 nose tackle. Head up the center. It's always fascinating. That's usually the guy that jumps on a hard count, and the ball's right underneath your nose.
3-5 for LSU, and John Emery takes the carry. Emery has been the complimentary back to Ty Davis-Price today. It's his 10th carry of the game.
You see LSU lining up quickly. They don't want Arkansas to get their cleats in the dirt.
On 3rd and 1, the big true freshman, TJ Finley, 6'6", 242 pounds, moves the chains.
You see the size that this kid has. He lines up, wants to run that QB sneak. We've seen it a couple of times. He's kind of stacked up initially. It's like stopping like a dump truck. He might not be moving fast, but it's hard to get him to stop rolling once he gets that forward lean.
Third straight start for Finley after the Brennan injury against Mizzou, and Emery back to the ground past the 45-yard line. Finley is the first true freshman to start at quarterback for the Tigers since Brandon Harris did it in 2014. Of course, Steve Ensminger also did it back in 1976. Coach Ensminger raved about the maturity level of TJ Finley, but he said, I can still kick his butt, though.
Well, we'll see what he's got dialed up for him here. It's the second and playbook. You could take a shot right here and still feel good about 3rd down.
Another Emery handoff. It's going to be 3rd and short.
Or you can chip away at the distance to go and make it 3rd and ultimately as manageable as we've seen all game long. You can tell, though, LSU starting more and more to win inside. Jonathan Marshall back in at nose tackle. They've had good success, as they should, on 3rd and short. 7 of 11 this afternoon.
Davis-Price in, Emery out. Davis-Price, look at those legs churn all the way to the yard to gain. 1st down for LSU.
Yeah, just gets in behind that left side, in behind his blockers. He just runs those feet. He's a physical back. You know, the guy's got some juice to him as a runner, there's no doubt. But at 230 pounds and short yardage, that's tough to bring him down.
Yeah, Coach O calls him the bruiser. Feels like LSU has been on the field all day long.
Yeah, and look how deliberate and methodical pace of play.
Finley throws it out to Davis-Price, and Ty gets into Arkansas territory. It must have been fascinating, too, for LSU to come on the field. You always have your coaches look over at the other side. Some of them will see what's going on, and they probably were thinking, oh, wait a minute. Now, where is 5? Where is 56? Where is 13? Where is 50? And you realize all those defensive linemen are out, probably even further committed them to running the football today. Finley, quick throw, incomplete to Marshall. Let's get a studio update from Peter Burns.
Thank you, TZ. Well, Florida Gators have finally arrived there in Nashville after being down 7-0 early, up 24-10 after Dameon Pierce's touchdown.
Gators up 2 scores there, in control of their own destiny to get to Atlanta. Got to give Vandy and Derek Mason credit, though.
Yes.
That team is playing hard. 3rd and 7 for LSU here. First down throw to Jenkins.
That was an ugly ball coming out of Finley's hand, but effective once again. This is one of the longer third downs of the afternoon. They've done such a good job of managing first and second. Jenkins just finding a soft spot in the zone, settling down and showing his quarterback his hands. And once again, another long, methodical drive for the LSU offense. This now their 10th play.
Finley throws the jump ball to McMath, and he comes up gimpy.
Yeah, at first it almost looked like, I thought maybe Hudson Clark had held him down. Not enough necessarily to be PI, but you're right, Taylor. I don't know if he did something to his hammy. You see him grabbing his hamstring there. But for sure, while the ball was in the air, he strained something. He's healthy off the line. You see a little stutter and go. Clark was on it, and he came up right as Clark kind of extended his arm out.
So they'll tend to him over there on the sideline and get this 2nd and 10 play off. Finley's had all day to throw, gets rid of it with a flag down. Gilbert, the big tight end. It would be a first down, but let's check the flag.
That's a couple times. Looks like holding. A couple times where we've seen Finley roll to his right and find Gilbert over the middle.
Number 57 offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay 2nd down.
Jason Hines here. They're going to say this happens a lot too, holding. When you see a quarterback escape the pocket, I don't know. I mean, I don't see it there. Watch it. This is just a clean finish. I don't see a hold there at all.
Shout out to the public address announcer, though, playing the beep, beep, back 'em up music.
Yeah.
2nd and 20. LSU now outside the 45-yard line. Another quick throw to Marshall. Nowhere to go. Catalan, Morgan, Thomas, all there.
They're trying to set up a screen. You're only rushing 3. Arkansas defense, God, they've been out on the field 27 of the last 30 plays, and yet still have done a great job in this game. You're only down 6 points, remarkably, in 3rd and forever.
It's the 12th play of the drive. LSU's only moved the football forward 25 yards with that penalty enforced. Safe throw to Davis Price, and they'll get inside the 40 down to the 39.
I'll say this Arkansas defense, they've been out on the field the whole time. At the end of these plays, there's 4 and 5 Arkansas defenders on the tackle. The effort has been really outstanding. Now you got to wonder how much juice they'll have left in the tank, but a huge stop and a pivotal penalty called on that holding call to get LSU off schedule. A big break for the Arkansas defense.
Von Rosenberg has a cannon for a leg, but he's also really good at pinning the opposition deep. And Arkansas is going to have to use a timeout
Arkansas
on this 4th and 12. Back in a moment to see if Zach can pin the Hogs deep.
Good for the Florida Gators. Kamara Gamble from Kyle Trask, 31-10 after the extra point. And hey, we have to see the Tide coming up next.
Seems like we haven't seen them forever. Been a little out of sight, out of mind from Mac Jones. Can he reassert himself in the Heisman race today?
90 minutes, so kickoff in T-Town. Back to you, boys.
PB, we're supposed to have Bama LSU last weekend, so Tides had 2 weeks off. Tigers have had 3 weeks off. Zach Von Rosenberg is going to try to pin Arkansas deep. 12-play, 34-yard drive. Don't know if I've ever heard of any of those before.
Unreal.
5 minutes and 49 seconds off of the clock. Arkansas is happy that it didn't cost them any points. LSU's happy that they're wearing down that Razorbacks defense, and a perfect punt that is downed at the 4-yard line, caught by Jabril Cox. But Felipe Franks better get it done on this down, because on second down, and you combine it with third down, Stinch, it's done nothing.
That's remarkable. And you think, obviously close to half of that, the 65-yarder to Burks in the first quarter. Regardless, just inept on these other downs, especially obviously on a third down where we've seen them be conservative. They have to get some production in the passing offense on other than first down.
Fake to Smith. The one-on-one ball to Woods. It works again.
Hung that one up. Woods does a great job of coming back to this football. Cordell Flott in coverage just got turned around. Couldn't find the ball and track it in the air.
28 more for Mike. Fake the toss and then hand it to Smith. You'll see that very often. He gets up to the 39-yard line. Fake it to the same guy you ultimately hand it to.
It ended up being a delay. You're exactly right. And it ended up working relatively well. They haven't seen a lot of explosive runs.
Pick up a 4 there. Now throws a bullet. It's caught by Trey Knox. That is Trey's first catch since the second game of the season against Mississippi State.
Only the second target for him this game. It was picked off last time.
Frank's trying to find some rhythm. Deep ball. Got it! Woods to the 1.
How about the time that Felipe Franks had to deliver this ball? And once again, Mike Woods. Give that man a nickname. It's Big Play Mike. All he does is catch balls downfield.
Fake to Smith. Dump off. Touchdown, Hudson Henry.
Last time they hit a big play downfield to Mike Woods. They came right back. Felipe Franks got in there on a run and scramble. Let's see if Hudson Henry, I don't know that he ever breaks the plane of the goal line. The ball's in his right arm. And Cordell
Flott. On the field of touchdown is under further review.
It looked like, as it happened, that Henry was short of the goal line. Like Flott came up and made the hit, turned him out of bounds right there at the last second. Now Mike Woods setting up this drive. As you see Henry again on the reception, I think
right foot's out of bounds before the left one hits the pylon. Now, is that enough to overturn it, given where he crossed the plane?
The ball's in his right arm. When would it have ever crossed the plane? I don't think it ever crosses the plane. His right foot is out of bounds. And here's the ball right here in his right arm.
Of course, we don't have a down-the-line shot, and the line judge is right there to make that call, so we'll see if it ends up standing for the redshirt freshman from one of the most famous families in Razorback history. Missed last week due to injury. This would be his second touchdown catch of the season.
Well, on this one, that was his first target of the game. We'll see if it actually results in a touchdown. You know, going back to the number of plays, LSU's run 70 plays. Coming into this drive, Arkansas hadn't even run 30. They were at 29. And yet, we're trying to determine if the Hogs have now tied this ball game up.
regardless of what's decided on this play and in the entire game.
After further review, the ruling is the runner stepped out of bounds with the ball short of the goal line. It is 1st and goal inside the 1-yard line.
Should be 2nd and goal as Franks threw it down there to the 2, and this should be a 1-yard completion to the 1.
2nd down.
I was going to say, just what a turnaround by Sam Pittman and this Razorbacks team to be this competitive in his first season. It's been the longest drive of the day for Arkansas, 5 plays. This will be the 6th. Traylon Smith, touchdown.
You blow Traylon Burks through the backfield just enough to buy the eyes of the linebackers. That time you could see Micah Baskerville, linebacker for LSU. He got pulled a little bit wider. You got to respect the speed of Burks, and instead you get Traylon Smith coming right down at you.
Arkansas leads the game with 1:04 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Well, the offense will disappear and has at times in this game, but it's also capable of throwing haymakers.
And that's what Felipe Franks did on that drive. The deep ball to Mike Woods. The guy's got over 6,000 career passing yards and over 50 touchdowns, most of them with the Florida Gators. Played well in the loss against his old team. It said so much to me, too, about all his old teammates coming up to him after the game last week and congratulating him on the season he's having in Fayetteville.
Yeah, Sam Pittman said, I'm watching the game from my pool house because of quarantining for his COVID. And that was what he was most impressed by. He thought, my gosh, look at the respect this kid has garnered. Was surprised that he became a captain. Not because of the kind of kid Felipe Franks is, but the fact that he just wasn't around his teammates that much, and yet they still voted him to be a captain. You see the C there on his jersey. And he's now established the first lead that Arkansas has held over LSU since 2015.
Humility is the first step to courage. That's what Frank said, and what a great example he has been this year. Our Protection Spotlight is brought to you by Allstate. It features Felipe Franks throwing the home run ball to Mike Woods.
Look at the time. You're rushing 5. No one collapsed in the pocket. And Mike Woods narrowly missing the goal line. They jump tempo, try to jump one in there. You see Traylon Burks sitting there going, hey, let's go quicker.
That's been a minute, huh?
That's unbelievable. First time since 15. And you talk about last year being a 42-point underdog and now leading the Tigers.
TJ Finley back to work. He's played a good game today and goes underneath to another terrific true freshman, Eric Gilbert, met by half the Razorback squad. 6 more.
You got to go back to the holding penalty on the previous drive, because otherwise you got LSU, they're marching, they're draining clock, they're draining energy of the Arkansas defense. You get a holding penalty, you get the ball back, and you get a score going the other direction. A huge turn of events.
They give Grant Morgan that tackle. It's his 100th already in this shortened season. Gilbert was open. Finley threw it too far in front of him, incomplete.
What a weapon they have in Eric Gilbert. He's split out wide now, working against Hudson Clark. And just a little too far out in front of him. Take a little bit off of that ball. You know, Finley struggled with that versus Auburn. He's been he's had much better touch and better placement on his passes today.
He's been really good on this down too, and on the 3rd and 4, it's incomplete. Grant Morgan got that big left arm brace on it, 4th down.
Had a chance at a pick. You just said he got his 100th tackle. Got that J.J. Watt arm brace on him, reading the quarterback's eyes. Breaks on the ball, probably cheated his teammate. Looked like Fouché in coverage. Could have come up with that pick as well. You never want to be late over the middle. And that time Finley was.
Von Rosenberg. Another terrific bounce. He's been outstanding today. 61 yards down to the 8-yard lines. Going to get drafted in his 30s and play in the NFL. Coming up next at 4 Eastern, number 1 Alabama hosts Kentucky in Tuscaloosa. And at 7:30 Eastern, it's Mississippi State. Also down a few men at 13th ranked Georgia in our SEC Saturday night matchup. SEC Network alternate channel has Mizzou and South Carolina. Find that. Go to secnetwork.com, and all games are also streaming live on the ESPN app.
What a big stop by this Arkansas defense. Aided by the penalty last time. Your offense scores, you get the ball right back to your own offense. Not great field position in their 3rd straight drive starting inside their own 10 for the Razorbacks.
Fake to Burks. Franks loads up again. Got it to Hammonds.
End of the 3rd quarter.
Of course he did. It was first down. It's been a magical down all game long. How about this? You're backed up inside your 10. Look at that. Hangs in there, takes a shot, delivers a strike. And the Hogs, man, running like a scalded dog through a one-light town.
Going to the start of the 4th quarter with a guy that just got on the field for the first time today.
He's right here. He's alongside Felipe Franks. That's TJ Hammonds. He's going to motion out. And Traylon Burks is going to motion into the backfield. He's going to come all the way across this post for a 51-yard completion.
He had negative yards receiving on the season going into that play as Franks eludes the sack, runs up to get something out of nothing. Hammonds had over 100 yards rushing against Coastal Carolina 3 years ago. Pressed into action today due to the injuries to Davion Warren and Rakeem Boyd being unavailable. 2nd and 5, and here is Hammonds on the ground with a big gain inside the 20, inside the 10, and down near the 6.
And now he's tapping out. 2 huge plays by TJ Hammonds. That time he stayed in the backfield. And he's able to get outside, capture the edge, and show his speed. You mentioned it. He's played running back, moved to receiver, lined up as a running back, motioned to receiver for the big play before that big run.
Low snap. Franks lives to play another down, and it's a nice catch over there in the rain.
Quarterback was outside the tackle pocket.
And you can see the
Through the pass beyond the line of scrimmage. There is no foul for intentional grounding. 2nd down.
rain coming down, and you see Frank saying, "That's me." You got to wonder if that wasn't a give read in his view. But you can hear now the rain's hammering down. As you see, great hands, man. Hang on to the mic. That made the catch. And it's really coming down now.
Franks underneath to Kern, and Blake is stopped at the 2.
That's a great job by Franks, even fielding that snap. So the snap before was low. The next snap, you could see him talking with Ricky Stromberg. That one was high. They haven't had a lot of yards on the inside runs. Here's Traylon Burks right here in the slot. Mike Woods, number 8, just outside.
Frank slips. 4th down. Boy, give LSU's defense credit. Taking 2 haymakers from TJ Hammonds and ultimately force a field goal.
And you could see. So he had 3 options on that play. Could have handed it off. Could have stood up and slung a ball quickly like a now screen to the receiver. And instead, he had decided to try to cut up and lost his footing. A lucky break for the LSU defense.
22-yard field goal by Reed sneaks in there, and Arkansas's lead is 4. 12:42 to go. Sam Pittman trying to win for his first time in the rivalry.
Seals Hads finds Chris Pierce 58 yards. Spoiler alert, he scores a touchdown. Vandy driving as well, too, still down 14.
How about those broken tackles from Pierce there? And you're right about Seals. He does have some moxie. Give the LSU defense credit in the rain. Gordy Rush, the sideline reporter, with a catch out of bounds. Blake Kern prevented from getting in the end zone, and Frank slips for the field goal. And LSU will get it back at the 25. Tonight we'll have SEC football final hosted by Dari Noka, Gene Chizik, Chris Doring, and Roman Harper. They'll take you through the biggest stories from the day and break all the games down. It's at 10:30 Eastern right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. It follows Bulldogs and Bulldogs in Athens tonight. LSU has punted all 3 times they've had the football, but they've still moved it, especially in that second drive. They possessed the ball more than 20 minutes, or almost more than 20 minutes than Arkansas has today. You got to stick with what works here, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, that one drive was stymied by the holding penalty. Otherwise, they were moving it.
Ty Davis-Price doesn't get much. Jalen Catalon has been wherever the football's been today.
That's exactly right. And that's a career high for him, 15 tackles. And it hasn't been because he had a lack of opportunity, right? Arkansas has been out there most of the game defensively. He's certainly made the most of it with 15 stops.
No gain. Finley, wide open receiver, and it's Jontre Kirkland. He dropped the ball and got it back.
We'll keep in mind, Racey McMath came out of the game with a seeming hamstring injury. You see Kirkland now getting a target. That ball got to be slick with the rain coming down.
18-yard completion back to Davis-Price, right at that hog front.
Yeah.
For 7 more.
And that LSU offensive front, that time just bouncing the Hog defensive front off the line of scrimmage. Great push by the Tiger front. Davis-Price had a full head of steam, wasn't touched until he's about 4 yards downfield.
That's his 19th carry. He's got 90 yards rushing. And drops it again. And Poole can't get to it as Finley's the first on it. Weather now a factor in Fayetteville.
No doubt. And we saw it on the snaps when Arkansas had the ball down there. And that time, it looked to me like Finley was intending to hand the ball off. And instead, it ended up getting hung on the hip of Davis-Price. LSU lucky to get that football back. Now let's see if Arkansas brings heat. They show this look repeatedly. 3 down linemen. Look at these 2 linebackers. They sugar up into the line of scrimmage. Oftentimes they have been bailing.
Trips to the top, Gilbert to the bottom. Finley to Kirkland. Perfect pass all the way into the Razorback red zone. There is a flag down.
How about the poise of TJ Finley? It's only a 3-man rush, I get it. But you don't like what you see initially, and all game, he has seemingly remained calm. There hasn't been panic. When you didn't like what he sees initially, is Bumper Poole telling him about it a little bit.
56 offense. 2-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
That's the center, Liam Shanahan, right in the middle. Harvard transfer, 3-year starter there. Here he is. He's working against Jonathan Marshall. He tries to club him, and that time I'm on board with it. You got that right hand on the back of Marshall's jersey. His hand was too wide. Last time they called one on Hines at right guard. I wasn't seeing it. But that time I think a legitimate call there negates a 35-yard gain for the LSU offense. Holding penalties have been huge this half.
Have to get to Arkansas's 47. Finley tackled by Morgan at the 45.
Wow. We talk about Finley and the way he's been able to keep his eyes downfield, buy time, and then deliver strikes. Holding penalties twice, now undoing those efforts. And Grant Morgan clipping the heels of Finley now with 17 tackles.
Just crazy.
Unreal.
Catalan, Poole, and Morgan all season tackling machines. Von Rosenberg with his 4th punt of the half. It's another beauty.
Wow.
We might be getting an email from the SEC office about Zach Von Rosenberg and his performance this week. Now he wants his teammates to get off the field on defense.
Presented by Allstate. You've never been in better hands.
We're going to see another one of those celebrations here in 9 minutes and 20 seconds. The battle for the boot.
Man,
taking some rain today. Look at the sag in the table. Look how heavy that thing is.
For real, somebody needs to go get a jack. Make sure that sucker doesn't end up on the ground.
Let's take a look at the smoothest play today, brought to you by Velveeta.
Well, it's certainly been incredibly efficient anyway. TJ Hammonds lined up in the backfield, motioned out, catches a 51-yard bomb. Then takes a handoff out of the backfield, 29 yards for yet another explosive downfield. Pretty efficient, 2 touches, about 80 yards of offense.
Crazy that Arkansas leads this game. Looking at that last graphic as Franks takes off on an option keeper right near another first down.
You're right, it is crazy. I mean, given the way LSU, I don't know that you could have fewer points and have been on the field longer or run more plays. The Tigers have run 78 offensive plays. It's unbelievable.
Pickup of 8. 2nd and 2. Franks again trying to keep his footing, and he's short. It is Ali Gay again with the tackle. It's 3rd down.
They need to look at maybe putting in longer 7 studs on his cleats. That's twice now where he's tried to cut up field and lost his footing. As you see the ball control, it's lopsided, doesn't begin to describe it. And yet look at the yardage.
LSU's given up a bunch of explosive plays today, and that's the reason why the Razorbacks have more yards, is LSU has done a great job of wearing down the Razorbacks. Now they want the football back. 3rd and 2. Franks doesn't have a chance here either. Micah Baskerville is in the backfield with Felipe. It's 4th down.
I'm wondering, I don't know if he was trying to get the ball to Blake Kern, and Kern just didn't get his head around. Watch 87. He's releasing, and you can see Felipe Franks is looking. Covered, but didn't get his head around. Franks end up scrambling and trying to extend that long body, all 6'6" of them. We'll see if he got a favorable spot.
The yellow line is not exact. Looked like he was a couple of inches shy, but no, it's a first.
I mean, that's a heck of an effort by number 13 of Arkansas.
The ruling on the field of a spot for a first down is under further review.
No surprise there.
Yeah, you got to get to the 17, Stinch.
And it was, he reaches out there towards the end of this run.
All right, so again, got to get to the 17. Let's take another look at this and see if, in fact, he gets right on the 17-yard line.
Right now, well covered by Cox. I got to tell you, I think he does. I think he gets slightly beyond it, as was demonstrated by the spot. Not down, lunging with his right arm. Now, does that left elbow make contact? Watch his left elbow as he spins. He's a live ball carrier. Man, I think he got it. What an unbelievable effort.
Review, the runner's elbow was down with the ball at the 16-yard line, short of the line to gain. It's 4th down and 1 at the 16-yard line.
And that was my initial thought, Stinch, is what with that elbow.
Yeah.
But maybe they had more to look at than we did. I don't know that I could have overturned that call, but
yeah, based on that last look, I would say no.
got to give Franks a world of credit for the effort, though.
Yeah, well, I think it was clear. Jabril Cox did a great job of coming out with Blake Kern. Kern wasn't around, didn't get his head around, and Franks just narrowly misses getting that conversion. Good job by the Tiger D.
Reed Bauer punts it deep to Jay Ward. And Ward is tackled after a gain of a few. LSU back on the field, down 4 midway through the 4th.
Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN, presented by Allstate.
We've waited a long time to get that on Tuesday night. Of course, LSU was at the top last year. They've had to overcome a bunch of miscues today.
Yeah, you see the holding on what would have been a conversion, a long drive early in the second half, and then another holding penalty to negate a 30-plus yard gain downfield. Both of them propping up the Arkansas defense. Huge penalties.
Double numbers got me again. Coy Moore was the return man on that punt, in for Derek Stingley, who's out of the game with an injury, and Ty Davis-Price slips on that wet grass. Second down.
I count 3 tackles now for the turf there in Razorback Stadium. 2 of them on Felipe Franks and now 1 on Davis-Price. The rain had been coming down pretty heavily earlier, and right now, ball carriers having a hard time making cuts.
Finley, a strike, and Boutte takes a huge hit from Catalan. And here's the flag.
You see Boutte a little slow to get up. We've already seen 1 ejection. Eli Ricks, you just mentioned Derek Stingley out for the secondary of LSU. That's 2 corners that they're without. And now perhaps a Razorback defender.
Personal foul, targeting a defensive player, number 1 defense. Plays under further review.
This is massive if Catalan's out of the game for the rest of this game, given the impact he has in the first half against Mizzou next week.
I don't know what else a defender can do right there.
Moved it, turned his whole body as he made that tackle.
And Boutte is going to the ground. Other than just avoid the receiver entirely, I don't know what else he can do. He's turned completely sideways. No crown of the helmet, obviously. It's almost like a hip check. I'm not even sure that there's head or neck. Nah, I get why the flag comes out, because you allow the replay official to officiate this entire call. They start from the beginning. There is no confirmed or stands. It's either targeting or it wasn't. Or stands, rather. It's either confirmed or it's not.
Incredibly held onto the ball.
It's a great point. But I don't know how that could be targeting.
Well, Mark Curlis is going to take a long look at this with the replay officials upstairs. We've already had some controversial calls in this game. If you're just joining us on what we all thought was going to be an LSU fumble and an Arkansas recovery, it wasn't.
You know, oftentimes with targeting, you're looking for, indicators, a launch, a lowering of the head. There's really neither one of those. Crown of the helmet, no.
Catalan has a career-high 16 tackles in this game.
No doubt a violent collision as the ball came out of Boute's grasp. He ended up maintaining.
After further review, the ruling of targeting is confirmed.
Wow.
Number 1 is disqualified. 50-yard penalty from the spot of the catch. First down.
I don't get it.
So Jalen Catalan has to miss the rest of this game, and he'll miss the first half of next week's game against Mizzou. The only thing that I could think that Mark Curlis and the replay officials are looking at is the player defenseless?
I don't see that as, I don't know how that call could possibly be confirmed. And I also don't know how you can play defense if you're not able to make a play that looks like that. He turned his entire body sideways. And I didn't even see head or neck contact.
LSU with the ball at Arkansas's 36-yard line with 6:40 and counting. Ty Davis Price straight up the gut past the 30.
What a push by that Tiger front. Again, just bouncing the Hogs, who have got to be exhausted right off the line of scrimmage.
It was Miles Mason that took Catalan's spot that made the tackle after an 8-yard gain.
The second playbook if you're LSU.
Davis Price over 100 yards rushing and a first down. And that's important because in the Coach O era, LSU is 25-1 when someone runs for over 100 yards, which is what Davis Price has now done.
There's no doubt that that's been a hallmark of LSU's wins this year. Have they been able to get the ground game going? Have they been able to pivot away from a pass-heavy offense? When you consider Finley, he's already had 38 attempts. They've averaged 40 attempts a game this year. That's more than they did last year.
Finley looks back to Davis Price. Got him! He says incomplete.
Right.
Looked like initially made that grab, but evidently could not control it to the ground.
Hey, Davis Price has got to work on his sales job right here, because it looked like he had it.
Oh, that's a touchdown.
When does that ball come out? It doesn't look until he's got it, he's down, he rolls over, then it comes out. I'm surprised they're not going to take another look at this. Now Hudson Clark rolls over him.
There you go.
Yeah.
First charge timeout, LSU.
Oh, that's a timeout.
We'll see if Coach O persuades them to take another look at this with 5:17 to go in the game. A couple of controversial calls go against Arkansas. This one goes against LSU. It appears that Ty Davis Price has control of that ball. It's a touchdown. The officials disagree. Incomplete pass after LSU called timeout to challenge the call and they lose their timeout. It is now 2nd and 10 for LSU at the Arkansas 25.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked to me like he had firm control. He slid a couple of yards. You got a defender spinning on your stomach. Then the ball comes out. Maybe it was jostled a little bit. Regardless, the LSU offense with a 2nd and 10 and an opportunity to still take strikes right here just outside the red zone.
Davis Price wearing that Razorback turf gets a yard.
Testing the middle of that defense again. That time they're able to anchor down and hold up. As you see Davis Price kind of hopping his way towards the sideline. Might have gotten rolled up just a little bit.
It's Trey Bradford, the true freshman, coming in.
Empty backfield. Bradford lined up all the way at the top of your screen here. He just substituted in for Davis Price.
Eric Gilbert just off of the line. Finley looking that way and gets it to him. 1st and goal, LSU.
What does it say when you look for your true freshman to throw to the other true freshman on in a 3rd and gotta have it? How about the trust that's been developed between these two guys?
Fake to Bradford, Finley in trouble. Good job of getting rid of the football there, moving his feet in the pocket, 2nd and goal.
Yeah, really slow developing play, a lot of ball handling it looked like. I don't know if Finley rode the fake a little bit longer, but he got grilled. Looked like he got a shot there from Grant Morgan right as he delivered the football. We talk about looking at what they've done, earlier at the end of the half. Clock was winding down, they ran the football.
Intentional grounding, number 11 offense was in the pocket, threw the pass when there was no eligible receiver. Also down at the spot of the foul, 2nd down.
Wow, late decision there on Finley.
So you'll see Morgan come in there late, pop him.
And by the letter of the law, you can understand the call. Took a second to get it to that, but now instead of 2nd and goal at the 8, it's 2nd and goal back near the 13.
Have not seen a target for Terrace Marshall in a while. He's lined up in the slot right here.
Finley, plenty of time, end zone, touchdown! Jeray Jenkins gives LSU the lead.
How about the time in the pocket? Only 3 rushers, but they've struggled with that before. I don't know where Finley's scrambling to. He's got time. There was nothing collapsing. Regardless, he got a little squirrely in the pocket, didn't matter. Got his feet set, and Jenkins able to get underneath that pass. And the Tigers eventually getting into the end zone, a career high, 271 yards for TJ Finley, tying his career high that he set earlier this season versus South Carolina.
Now Cade York to make it a 3-point game. After all of the controversy and the inconsistent play we've seen today, Jeray Jenkins makes that catch. You got to give TJ Finley a world of credit. He has taken everything Arkansas has thrown at him, and he's had a career day.
Yeah, he's shown a lot of poise. Now, there's some of this stuff where I think he's running for some ghosts on this play. Regardless, regroups and is able to get that touchdown to Kirkland. And you're right, he's done a good job. By and large, his ability to maintain his composure has been pretty impressive.
Finley, the true freshman, going the whole way. Now Sam Pittman's team is going to have to come from behind with 3:59 to go here in the fourth quarter. Feels like they haven't been on the field in forever. LSU's possessed the football over 40 minutes today.
But boy, when they have been more than capable of throwing a knockout punch, at least a near knockout punch, because they put the Tigers down on the mat, were able to establish a lead for the first time over LSU since 2015, only to cede it back. But with an underhanded secondary for the Tigers, still plenty of opportunity for the Arkansas downfield passing game.
We'll be right back after a quick message from Academy Sports and Outdoors.
So I know you're probably trying to figure out where to get your Christmas gifts, and I have the answer for you right here at Academy Sports and Outdoors. They have everything that you might need, including trampolines. Let's just not wait to wrap up the trampoline, put it under the tree. Just go ahead and get it right now so you can have fun all season long, right?
So Felipe Franks back off the bench to try to give Arkansas the lead. Team captain. He's had some impressive performance today, throwing for 293 yards and a touchdown. Been great in the second half. Franks rolling out and eventually throws it to the LSU bench. Jabril Cox was back there in the backfield, forcing Franks to throw that incompletion.
We've seen Franks in this game. You think back to the red zone.
Foul, tripping, number 22 offense. Half the distance to the goal from the previous spot. Replay, first down.
Traylon Smith called for tripping, and that is a big call.
This is a sprint out play from the jump, designed for Felipe Franks to sprint to his right. It's just kind of like a turn protection up front. The lineman just kind of turn, and watch Traylon Smith right there. I mean, the kid's going for a cut block and he rolls over on his back. I don't know.
Franks will dump it off to Smith. And he'll get close to the original line of scrimmage. Dwight McLaughlin knocks him out.
What a huge penalty. I don't know how that's tripping, but regardless, able to chip back with the screenplay.
They do. They get it back 2nd and 10. Now Franks. Perfect ball to Burks.
They had Traylon Smith kind of coming out of the backfield on a wheel route. They get it back to Burks. Now back to the first down passing, an empty backfield for Arkansas.
On a design quarterback run, that's Ojulari, got a hand on Franks. 2nd down.
It was perfect. They're running a line stunt, and Ojulari just folds right inside. Otherwise, that QB draw probably goes 10 yards. As it is, you find yourself in 2nd and 10.
Franks in trouble again, and he's going down.
And you can see Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks is looking over to the sideline in frustration. Again, a lot of ball handling in the backfield. Watch Burks come through. You got Andre Anthony in your lap right now. 0 yardage play, a negative yardage play, and now 3rd and 16. Arkansas offense going backwards on this possession. Here's Woods at the top of your screen. Checked by Flott.
Franks can't take another sack, gets out of there, and he's up near the 48-yard line. Ray Thornton on the tackle to prevent the first down. So it's going to be 4th down.
Second charge timeout.
Arkansas calls their second timeout.
And Felipe Franks, you can tell he's feeling this football game, the brunt of it. He's taking some shots in this one. Sometimes delivering the ball downfield, others where he scrambled upfield. Right here trying to make something from nothing. Didn't like what he saw tucked. Was able to escape the pocket. And he kind of lands on that football. You see him wincing a little bit.
Clock to 2:07 on the game clock.
I wonder if he got his wind knocked out of him. That's a scary thing to have happen.
What's the call on 4th and 3 with the game on the line?
Well, we've seen it. They haven't had a lot of success on the inside runs. We saw it in the red zone earlier. Traylon Smith has kind of disappeared here the last couple of possessions. But you've got big targets out wide. Mike Woods has been the big play threat, but Burks at 6'3", physical enough. Trey Knox as well. They've tried to target him a couple of times. Obviously on the pick, he only has the one reception on the other target. I don't see Arkansas trying to run this football to convert, though. It's not just 4th and 3. It looks like a long 3.
Got to get right to midfield to move these chains. Underneath, first down to Smith.
Line Smith up in the backfield. Give him that option. Great read, breaks it inside, and Franks with a strike to convert.
Again, an open receiver. It's Tyson Morris for the first time today.
And Tyson Morris kind of forced into service. The injury to Devion Warren, they mentioned he does a pretty good job versus press coverage. Now you flex your tight end out. Here's Hudson Henry at the top of your screen.
Second charge timeout, LSU. 30-second timeout.
Well, they not only did that, but they had TJ Hammonds again, number 41, lined up in the backfield, and then he motioned out. As soon as they motioned him out of the backfield, LSU pops a timeout. They don't want to get hit with another deep shot.
I know it looks like a simple completion on that 4th down, but when the game's on the line, being able to deliver a perfect ball to Smith in stride, impressive.
And you see Smith, he lined up in the backfield. He's got Baskerville in coverage with outside leverage. He breaks that route inside, back over the ball. Give your quarterback a target right over the ball. Franks delivers a strike for the conversion.
A.J. Reed's getting ready. His career long is 51 against Syracuse when he was a Duke Blue Devil a couple of years ago. His long for Arkansas is 48.
Plenty of time here. And we saw earlier, Arkansas tried to pop a QB draw. They got a light box, meaning not a lot of defenders in there. LSU had a great call for it with Ojulari was folding inside. So he's able to make that play. Only 5 defenders in the box now for LSU.
Basically right on the verge of Reed's range on this 1st and 10. Smith. He's out of bounds near the 27-yard line. He's been somewhat limited on the ground today, just 27 yards rushing.
Nice block out wide by Traylon Burks. So this is a defense in LSU that loves to press up in coverage. Even if they end up playing quarters coverage, you see how tight they are to the receivers. They want to press up, get right in their face. So far today, though, Arkansas done a good job getting behind it.
Fake to Burks, sideline ball, and it's too far out of bounds for Woods.
You see Franks pointing to himself. He was too far upfield that time. He was going with the back shoulder throw. You see it whenever the defender is in phase, running stride for stride with the receiver. That quarterback's going to give his receiver a chance to come back for that football. It's worked earlier.
Arkansas converted on their only 4th down stint, but 0 for 9 on this down today.
Here's Woods. You see Woods and Burks now swapping. They make a change. Burks was lined up inside earlier.
Franks tries to dump it off again, and it's Smith who can't make the catch. Great open field move by Jay Ward, 4th down.
That's 3 times in this game. They've tried to get the ball to Traylon Smith out of the backfield, and they have not been able to come up with a completion. That time he had a good shot at it, but you're right, that's a great play by Ward. I don't think he's able to turn with the football and get upfield enough to get a conversion.
Pressed into action when Eli Ricks was called for targeting. And now this forces an A.J. Reed field goal attempt. This will be from 44. And it's a knuckleball that's partially blocked, no good.
LSU almost blocked the point after attempt earlier. They narrowly missed it then, and it's off the edge. The edge runner got a piece of that kick by A.J. Reed and never had a chance. A great defensive effort by LSU and the special team to get a piece of that kick. I mean, given the distance it traveled, Taylor, even after it getting blocked, you'd like to think it's got a good chance.
That's Jay Ward. It's Jay Ward again.
Back-to-back plays by Jay Ward.
He was picked on when he first came into the game when Eli Ricks got ejected for targeting. And ultimately, he's the hero, forcing a 4th down and then blocking the field goal. Davis Price get a few, and Arkansas will burn their last timeout.
Arkansas, 30-second timeout.
Our next SEC storied film is titled No Experience Required, and it premieres Tuesday at 9 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. It's the story of Texas A&M's famed 12th man tradition and Jackie Sherrill's idea to have his 1983 kickoff coverage team be made up of non-scholarship walk-ons. Playing for the boot, Razorbacks out of timeouts. LSU has taken everything that the Razorbacks have had today and somehow are going to get out of here alive.
You see the rushing yards, and something that Coach O said, we emphasize, we got to run the football. Look at the time of possession, just dominance. And yet this game was a 1-possession football game right up until the end.
It's a heartbreaking loss for Sam Pittman's team, but I can promise you Coach Orgeron is going to salute him and the Razorbacks after this is over with for how hard the Razorbacks, down so many defensive players due to COVID issues, fought today.
If you have to be as impressed as you could possibly be in defeat. No moral victories, and nobody's going to talk that. But Sam Pittman, given the challenge that they were facing, just from a personnel standpoint, it was mountainous. And that defense never quit fighting. My goodness, the effort that they put together. But credit LSU, their defense got the stops that they needed. And behind a true freshman and quarterback, they were able to bounce back from their performance versus Auburn and being on the shelf for almost a month in the middle of the season.
Arkansas is scheduled to play Mizzou next week. LSU goes to Texas A&M next Saturday night. That game lasted all night and into the next day, last time they were in College Station. Coach O's team gets to 3-3 on the season. A lot of respect from the two of those. Kentucky and Alabama's coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks to Matt Stinchcomb and Tara Talmadge today. I'm Taylor Zarzer. We appreciate you listening to us today. Our final score, LSU 27, Arkansas 24. Coming up in just a moment, it's Peter Burns, Gene Chizik, and Chris Doring to put a bow on this one and all the other action we've had so far today. What a game. LSU holds on to the Golden Boot.
Welcome to SEC Now, presented by our friends over at Yellowwood. Peter Burns, Gene Chizik, Chris Doring, and again, chaos. Chaos ensues here in 2020. We just saw LSU, Arkansas, and now just 20 minutes away from Mac Jones, the Alabama Crimson Tide, taking the field for the first time in a while in Tuscaloosa. And, of course, the Kentucky Wildcats down a slew of players. It appears 10 players will be out for the Wildcats in this one.
Yeah, that news breaking over the last 12 to 24 hours about all the production that's going to be lost from Kentucky. Tough enough going into Tuscaloosa with a full squad, but let alone the guys they'll be out today. It's going to make it even more challenging for the Wildcats.
Touchdown Terry Wilson, solid last week against Vanderbilt, of course, coming back off of that wrist injury. He hopes to have some success along with Mark Stoops. 20 minutes will kick off in T-Town. We'll get you out to Bryant-Denny Stadium in a little bit. But right now, just another crazy finish between LSU and Arkansas for the 5th year in a row. LSU has won the Golden Boot. But, Chiz, let's start with you. When you look at that game, did the better team win between LSU and Arkansas in the Tigers 27-24?
I'm not sure, but I do know this. I didn't know what to expect from LSU being off for 3 weeks and after they just got their brains beat out by Auburn, right? I didn't know what to expect, but today I saw them execute a game plan flawlessly, starting on offense, eat the clock. They were not able to run the ball against Auburn. Today, they committed to running the football. CD, their offensive line is big. They outweighed an undermanned Arkansas D-line, and they said, we're going to pound these guys. And they did it. They were great on third downs. They possessed the ball for over 40 minutes. But you know what was impressive? TJ Finley, with the game on the line, on a 10-play, almost 70-yard drive, converting 2 huge third downs. That guy was big time when it mattered most.
GB, I would argue that the better team did win today. You know, from LSU, we felt really good about the way they played in the first half. The third quarter, they kind of took the foot off the gas offensively. Let's talk about their defense. Their defense forced 6 3-and-outs for Arkansas today on 13 possessions. They didn't give up a single third down try, 0 for 10 for Arkansas on the day, and that limited the number of plays that Arkansas had. The time of possession was almost 2-1, I believe, in favor of LSU. So I think there's a lot of positive things if you're a Tiger fan that you can look at.
Tolles, the safety, Hampton, the safety being out. Of course, Derek Stingley a little bit banged up in that game, too. They'll end up getting the win. But I want to go back to TJ Finley and what you saw out of him. True freshman, seems to be growing each and every week.
Yeah, it's just a lot of teams this year have not had the patience that is required to go up against this Arkansas defense. It's going to play 3 down. They're going to drop into coverage. They're not going to give up a bunch of home run shots. When they're there, you got to take advantage of them. But I saw TJ Finley taking the curls in the soft spots of the zones, taking the shallow crosses at times, using his legs to get out of pressure and make plays. That touchdown pass, buying a little extra time for his receiver to uncover. Those are things we don't necessarily see from a freshman quarterback. And a lot of quarterbacks that have played against this Arkansas defense have not had that patience this year.
Yeah, he had a command presence about him today. He wasn't rattled. You know, his last game against Auburn, he did not play well. But today, he was very judicious on where he went with the ball. He was able to buy himself time and convert some huge plays, particularly in the last drive that won the football game. But you're seeing a young guy mature as we come along. But let's make no mistake about it. What helps young quarterbacks more than anything?
Running the football?
Running the football and being able to take some pressure off him. But he still threw over 270 yards and a couple of touchdowns today. So really seeing him mature.
And didn't make the big mistake either. That's the important thing about it here. He didn't throw the ball away, didn't turn it over the way he did against Auburn.
Ed Ogeron's team now 25-1 when they have a 100-yard rusher, and now 12-0 for the LSU Tigers after a loss for Ed Ogeron's squad. All right, they win 27-24 as we get a little bit closer to the game down in Tuscaloosa between Kentucky and Alabama. You see Najee Harris. So much has been talked about Kyle Trask, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, of course, Mac Jones, but Najee Harris putting his name still in that list for the Heisman Trophy.
You know what's been surprising to me, Chiz, about Najee this year? You mentioned it last night. Only 4 Alabama Crimson Tide receivers have caught touchdowns. Najee Harris is usually a vital part of the receiving game, and him not having a reception for a touchdown this year has kind of surprised me.
Yeah, let's not gloss over the fact that the offensive line at Alabama has been huge. They've been great in the run game. They've been great in protection. But when you got a guy like Najee back there, I think that's the great equalizer where you don't feel like CD, you have to throw it every down to win it. Yeah. And again, when you're looking at a championship run, being able to be balanced, running it and throwing it is huge. And obviously, Najee Harris he's a huge reason for that.
Especially when they have a great offensive line, and a former great offensive lineman joins us right now. Is going to be on the call on the sidelines in Tuscaloosa. That is Cole Kublik. Cole, when you start looking at this game, the Tide been off for 20 some odd days. What's the feeling around Saban's squad as they get ready to take on the Wildcats?
Oh, I think they're anxious, Peter. I think this is a team that really wants to get back on the field. Coach Saban told us he tried to keep their routine as normal as possible. They took last Friday off, what would normally be a travel day. They practiced on Saturday. Wanted to try to keep that routine what it would be in a normal game week. But you're right about the time off, and it's something that I would normally be concerned about. But I look at some of the other teams. I look at Florida having almost a month off. They come back, look great against Missouri, great against Georgia, and then put 63 on Arkansas. So I think Coach Saban had his team go full speed at times to just try to keep things on par with what they were before this break began. And I would expect to see an Alabama team that's pretty raring to go here this afternoon.
Cole, you mentioned things that you would have been concerned about. Obviously, some concerning news for Kentucky coming out last night about how shorthanded they're going to be. Not only are they going to be down in numbers, but these are important players for Kentucky on both sides of the ball and in special teams. How does Mark Stoops compensate for those absences today?
Well, it's difficult, and I think because of the time frame, guys, that some of these replacements have to be made, I don't really know how strategic you can get with moving different guys around. You might see a safety come down and play some linebacker. You might see a linebacker move from Will to Mike, Sam to Mike, back and forth. There will be different players in different places, especially on defense for Kentucky. With Chris Rodriguez being down, obviously the team's leading rusher. You have other backs that you can lean on there. Max Duffy out for the second consecutive week. In my opinion, best punter in college football. So that's going to affect your field position. That might affect some decision makings for this Kentucky team as well. It's not going to be an easy situation for Mark Stoops.
Cole, you know, we haven't seen Alabama play in a few weeks, but the last time we did, we saw the defense pitch a shutout against Mississippi State. And the more I look at them, I see them improving. What's the feel you get from the coaching staff there on the defense? Are they getting better? Do they feel like they're headed in the right direction?
I think they feel like they're headed in the right direction, Coach, but Nick Saban emphasized to us just about what this offseason has meant for defensive football. Not seeing things at speed, not being able to replicate game scenarios in practice before the season began as much as you can maybe on offense. So I think he understands that this is going to take a little bit of time to sort of get things right. Are there individuals that continue to step up their game and look a little bit better? Yes, absolutely, especially when you're relying on some young players. Some to come in and play at the line of scrimmage, others to come in and play in the secondary. I believe the emphasis has been on the defensive line. Striking, leverage, getting off blocks, understanding how to utilize your hands when you're trying to play blockers. Those are the things technically and fundamentally that I believe were an emphasis point for the last 2 weeks on this Alabama defense.
Cole, last question for you. Last week, Coach Stoops talked about playing as many as 3 quarterbacks. They stuck with the hot hand and Terry Wilson. What is the game plan, if any, that Coach Stoops told you before this one?
I think it's Terry Wilson's game, guys, and depending on how things go in the second half, you could potentially see a Bo Allen, you could see a Joey Gatewood, maybe even in some situations